Hello, Internet. We are slightly late. I'm sorry. I had to scramble. I have no idea what I'm doing. Ah, it's real blurry. I'll have to adjust that font size later. I'm trying new things. Max was like, oh, you need to put a text on it. I'm like, I can do that. I used to do that. In OBS, I could just put an overlay in a text box, and it says the thing. I can make it go away. X was snapping. That's why I'm alone. I am alone here and dying. There's nobody here. We'll go through all this effort. We're doing Charmer's Hell or High Water, though. I know sometimes I'm wrong when I say that, but I made a list of these guys. There's a lot of these guys. Well, gals, technically, actually. Fun fact. Despite what you may think, every Charmer except Dark is a woman. Even then, it might not actually be because the other non-English languages that are gendered can't agree. In French, they still use... Is that charmeuse? Anyway, the feminine version of charmer. Because, you know, fucking grammar. But, like, German, Italian, and Spanish, dark is referred to with masculine nouns. So, despite what you may think, every single charmer except dark is a woman. Sorry, I'm sweaty. Did I open my window? I don't think I did. Hold on. Wait 1 second, chat. I'll let you guys filter in. Give me a tick. I'm back. The window is open. It's after dark. That means it's window time. I thought so. All right, so this is a reflection of a Patreon poll. So we do a Patreon poll every month about whatchamacallit, fail Portrayal. We also do other stuff. I'll get into that later. But the one that was votified. God, sorry, I feel like I'm constantly fighting my mic arm these days. I'm like, are you centered on my face? I can't tell. I'm tired of being 2,000% quieter than Lucky. That's not actually true.
I'm not sure, because I think I adjust your stuff on my end anyway.
Well, I mean, you don't adjust it when I record an episode, but you're there for those live, so maybe you do.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the best ofs when I'm like, well, I can't hear me, but if I didn't normalize Lucky would explode all your eardrums, so it's awkward.
It's weird, because it's like
Anyway.
I have you both at like 125% on my end.
Anyway, that's not actually relevant to what we're doing, but we did a Patreon poll, and people voted for Charmers. Overwhelmingly, I believe. Big whelming. So, yeah, you picked him. And technically, we should have done it last week, but I passed over because people were going to be here. But now it turns out people also aren't here, so I don't fucking know. But I wrote my list, so we're going to do it. Now, as an archetype, Charmers are really interesting because they're not really an archetype, or at least weren't until like around 2020, just before the structure deck came out. There is a structure deck. It's not very good. I mean, it's perfectly serviceable as a structure deck. It's just their attempts to turn Charmers into an archetype are very lackluster and have a lot of weirdness in them because, as you'll see as we dissect this group of cards, Charmer's naming convention is all over the heckin' place. The phrases Charmers, possessed, familiar possessed, and spiritual art recur a lot, but also are often written in such a way that they don't make any gosh darn sense. They also aren't all the actual same stat block, so you get some weird overlap. The main thing is that they have certain stat lines, like I said, but they don't overlap between different versions because there are a few different iterations of Charmers. And so there's a lot of weirdness. The Charmers themselves are all spellcasters, so that is a unifying aspect, but this leads to some very funny things. For instance, you can run certain amounts of Charmer support and use fairy tales, for instance, because they're all the appropriate stat line. Obviously, in all godly formats, Fairy Tale Snow is banned. Yes, I have declared both the OCG and Master Duel ungodly. They are truly the work of Satan. Anyway, I don't actually have many people fight me about Master Duel these days. It's tier 0 format.
I haven't played it in, like... I've chose not to play it because I don't have the time for it anymore.
That's fair. I mean, you don't... That's their scheme, is to get you to play the game constantly. You don't really need to. What do you get out of climbing the ladder? It does nothing.
I regret buying the anniversary packs, but honestly, at the time, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I just go back to it eventually, some ever point. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. But, I mean, I still need to get into Master Duel. I have not done the new solo mode so that I could pivot in case of trouble, but I'm not pivoting. Again, my notes. I made them. I made this list. It's a really long list. You will experience this list. One person currently watching, or 2 people. YouTube can't quite make up its mind.
Sorry, that was me popping in and out real quick on that.
Okay, now it says 4. Maybe some other people were tabbed out, and when I yelled at them, they tabbed back in. Anyway. We're not pivoting to the new solo mode, even though I really want to do the Subterror one. I'm very excited about this. But Charmers are a really interesting place. They are, as I said earlier, they're not an archetype until you get to very later, and even then, they're like 3 archetypes. They don't behave like normal Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They don't have a lot of synergy. They have a couple things in common that we'll get on. And so there's a lot of really interesting aspects to their card design.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I saw that there actually is a new one in one of the newer sets that's coming out.
Yes, in
Yeah,
Duelist
the
Nexus,
fire.
they have announced Fire Channeler.
Channel,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
So they're finally
and I believe
getting around to getting the
we discussed this earlier in a previous episode to catch everybody up. Axe was like, oh, we should wait on this until all the channelers are out. And I was like, haha, no. Because...
Listen, I had to get the pulse on channel on, like...
Yeah, I didn't think the channelers were ever going to come out.
So, yes, to bring that up, there's only 3 of them, and technically, Hita's not in the TCG yet. That's not until, like, a set from now. You're not going to get her until July.
Gotcha.
And I would like to put this in perspective. When the Wind Channeler was released in 2020, also the Earth Channeler didn't come out until 2022. So, technically, Konami is speeding this up, but
A year.
at this rate, you are not going to see Area the Water Channeler this year, probably. Or if you will, you're not going to see her until, like, the end of this year. Which will, honestly, at this rate, probably be next year for the TCG.
And
again,
then,
he does not even
I guess
out.
Ikari and Dark will be a thing eventually.
No, they won't. There's no guarantee of that.
Yeah.
And if they do, you're probably not going to see them until, like, 2025. So,
They're going to be years away if we ever get them.
the way that Konami decides to roll these girls out is very weird. They have a habit of, normally they used to release, like, all of the Charmers in big blocks. All of the original Charmers were from one set. All of the spiritual art traps were from one set. All of the familiar possessed and the... what are usually referred to as the quote-unquote cataclysmic Charmers, but, like, Raging Hita, or Blazing Hita is her actual translated name, Raging Area, etc. Those all came out in a block. But when we got to the Lynx, those took several years to all come out.
Yeah,
So
I
much
think
so
they were
that the
released
Light
one
and
at a
Dark
time.
Charmers didn't come out until after MR4 was expired.
Well, the light and dark charmers usually take longer to come
yes,
out,
I should say that.
mostly
That's
because
true.
of the chaos typing.
The original versions of their normal flip charmers came out many, many years later. I believe the familiar possessed and possibly the what people call the cataclysmic versions both came out before both Lina and Dark got their first versions.
So
Yes. Go ahead, say it. Stop going so go.
I was just waiting for you guys to. Okay.
You can't see me making my speeded up gesture, but go.
Yeah. Okay. It's. So, when I think earlier you said of how like a lot of the at least how I was the charmers, is that they originally started like the various like signature tutor monsters like Giant Rat and Mother Grizzly, where it's like weirdly enough I feel like they could make a dumb thing about that too, but
They did not go that route for some reason, but yes.
they honestly could, because it's like they're all kind of the same thing of like pack animals. But,
They are. The wiki has a box for this where they literally list all 6 attributes except divine. There are a lot of types of cards and archetypes that fit into this format. Yes, there are also
it's
the
like
attribute boosters.
They always started as like attribute support, and then they spread out into being its own thing as they get iterations and so on, and it ties in with like familiars and like other just kind of signature things. It's like a weird microcosm of Yu-Gi-Oh! Within itself.
Yes.
Kind of.
They
didn't start out
started as support, and then they continue to be support, and only very recently did they try to tie them together, but even
they
then...
really overlap with fairy tales.
Well, like I said, that's because they share... because Charmers don't... All of their cards don't share the same naming for purposes of archetypes. You cannot actually just make cards that would search only Charmers. You would have to say, for instance, Charmer and Familiar Possessed, etc., and that would not necessarily account for, like, the Awakened Familiars and the other shit, you know,
Yeah.
and other future stuff, because there's some weird comparison. And we'll break this down when we actually get into them. The latest versions of the Charmers have a lot of parenthetical text of, this card is always treated as blah. For instance,
Yeah.
all of the Channelers are always treated as Charmers, but the Link monsters are always treated as Familiar Possessed. Do not fucking ask me why.
I think it's because they're that. I guess that's the upgrade of that.
Yes, I think that's
line.
how that's the direction they're supposed to go in, but it's really weird. And the Cataclysmic Charmers have just been straight up forgotten because they're terrible.
Like,
But-
is it literally like? Is it
Still
like
15
the?
years old.
Is it like a job tree where basically you have a familiar best and you become a channeler instead?
Yeah, I don't actually know. There's some very weirdness with the timeline. For a lot of time,
Yeah.
because of implications in the lore, a lot of people assumed Dark was dead and we were never seeing another Dark card.
I think
Because
that's stuck in the dark dimension or the greed dimension.
yeah, he gets molested by the ghost of Pot of Greed or something, and we'll talk about that because I have the spiritual arts in my list. But they did
wish
finally
they were-
release Link Dark, which counts as a Familiar Possessed, and they released a Link Lino, which counts as Familiar Possessed because there's Familiar Possessed versions of Area and Dark as well, so that makes sense why they did that. But there's no, like, Channeler, there's no advanced version, etc. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. But we'll break it all down.
Also, is there?
Sorry, I was going to finish my earlier point that you said. You
Yeah.
brought about how they're connected to Fairy Tail. I said that earlier because Fairy Tales share the same stat line and being spellcasters with the Familiar Possessed cards. So when, for some reason, Konami doesn't want to say Familiar Possessed cards, which I assume they are doing to be nice to you to give you more cards to play, they let you play additional support. So there's a lot of,
Yeah.
like, weird synergy.
They
But
let
they
you play
the-
the whole
yeah.
1850 attack line.
and there's also spellcasters with 1500. Ada the Sun Magician, who is basically the Book of Taiyu on a stick lady, which makes sense. That has flip synergy, which these guys started as. That technically counts as basically a charmer because she is a spellcaster with 1500 defense exactly, so it works. There's a lot of this weird overlap going on, but the deck didn't have a coherent strategy until the Charmer Structure deck came out. That gave them a field spell and some dedicated back row that actually let them do stuff, but never enough stuff to actually be meta as their own deck type, and unfortunately, Charmers as a solo deck have never topped. Charmer
Yeah,
cards
yeah.
have topped,
I think-
and you see their Link cards way more frequently than you see the attribute boosters, like, you know, Great Fly and Doolittle Chimera and shit, because
Yeah.
the Link versions of the Charmers are super useful. They
are.
do
You
as
can-
much for like Link spam or attribute decks of giving you generic extra deck monsters as like anything, you know. So
Yeah, I
they're
was
real
gonna say,
important. You see them a lot.
Yeah, and that's what makes Dark Gloomy especially important because there are so many.
Yes,
dark attribute
Lina
monsters
and
that
Dark,
exist.
the links, which I think let me double check. I
I
think
think it's Line Illustrious.
yeah, Lina Illustrious. I think she came out last because she usually does. Let's see, that was Lightning
No,
Overdrive.
Dark I think did.
Oh yes, no, it was Dark. Dark was Battle of Chaos. Usually it's the other way around, but yeah.
Oh,
So Dark came out
Oh.
last, probably because. No, like I said, I'm looking at my list. Usually the Dark Charmer and Familiar Possessed Dark came out before Lina both times, but it's funny with the Link they actually did it
Well,
the other
I
way
think
around.
they knew that their Link spam decks were mostly Dark attributes.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth,
I
and
actually think the
obviously
before was goat.
the way Bestials work now. Not that those are in Master Duel yet, so probably most of you don't know what those do.
Surprising.
But they're basically like, what if every Chaos monster was also DD Crow and could be lights or darks? That's Bestials. You have infinite
Yeah.
DD Crows. They also summon
Yeah.
themselves. So it's really weird, and I understand why Master Duel hasn't brought them out, but also I don't know why the OCG and the TCG aren't more mean to them. I would argue that Bestials have done more format damage than possibly even, like, the concept of tiers, because in the OCG, tier was never a zeroed-out deck until exactly Ishizu tier. Sprites were actually way better, and a lot of people thought it would be exactly the same over here, but it's not, because you can't search Max C in the TCG.
Yeah.
So the two things I want to say before we just start going through the cards.
Yeah.
One was I've always sounded very. I lost my place.
Hold
in it,
on
but
one second.
The one thing I
I'm
still
gonna
remember
drink.
is I feel like as we go through the cards, I wonder if we'll see a thing of how there is kind of a cross-dimensional gathering of majorals kind of theme between, like, I guess the overlap cards of being, because I know at least I think Arya and Win are both from like the dual terminal worlds.
Yeah, no. There's no
Just
confirmation
Win.
of that.
Okay.
And also, to be fair, Win we don't actually know a lot about. Just Winda, Priestess of Gusto, looks basically exactly like Win the Wind Charmer. But they're not named
Well, I
the
thought
same
that-
thing.
Oh, I thought there
Yeah,
was a
they're
Win
not.
card.
I've seen some of the theories that try and link them back to. 'Cause,
Yeah. They
I
have the
think
same
Area, the
staff, and
Water
they have
Charmer.
basically the same hairstyle.
Could it
but
just be
obviously-
that wolf version of
I-
Win.
I've also seen some stuff attempting to link Area, the Water Charmer, to the Gishki.
I mean, I
or
was wondering. I forgot
the
about that.
ice barriers. But,
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
think
figured
people have
because-
tried to compare her to Ariel of Gishki and Necroz, but
probably.
that is a deeper reach. Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's an image that Wikipedia does not have right now. Hold on, let me find a different area.
But yeah, no,
Um,
but definitely, I think the Win and Winda
Yeah,
comparison has a little more in the tank there.
it's yeah. I mean, they are literally the same person. Like I said, I think they have different artists. I actually want to bring this up. Charmers are one of the few archetypes we straight up know who did it because it's part of that person's advertised portfolio.
And that in Sorcerer as well, which is nice card art kind of thing.
Yes, it's Akina Fujiwara. She drew
Trap Tricks as
basically
well.
all of the Charmer, Familiar Possessed, and Spiritual Arts. She drew Trap Trick. She drew Droll and Lockbird. And did do several Gishkis. This is probably why people try and compare Ariel to Area, because it's the same artist. I think it's just that she, you know, did like similar drawings. And also, I'm not actually seeing Winda on this list, so it's not possible. It's possible that she didn't draw that and somebody else made the reference. She also
Honestly-
drew Downward Magician, in case you were curious.
I think
I was
that.
gonna say.
Oh, that tracks. Yeah. I
And
just,
then I think also I see what's her name, the temporal magician, random magician card
There's a couple.
from I think XC's era.
What were you saying, X?
I was thinking. I remember the other thing I was going to say was that there is a kind of a recurring, because I think we kind of it's got the thing of being like they're all different characters from like different corners of Yu-Gi-Oh lore concepts. But I guess to me, it's more just they've always screamed to me as like a early 2000s fantasy anime cast, and how like they're a bunch of mage girls just wandering around doing shit and like other things they've gathered, and it's just then I guess kind of the progression of that aesthetic from where it goes.
Yeah, this card art, by
Yeah.
the way, is from an official card sleeve that was sold. Obviously, it's got the art design on there. But yeah, they do definitely have a little bit of a like broad scatter shot, and certainly they are out there doing some stuff together. I've shown one of the card arts. I think it's for the card Spirit Charmers
Could they
as our
make a cute
thumbnail.
girl-
So
Can they make a cute girls doing cute things anime about the Charmers?
they could do a lot of animes out of Yu-Gi-Oh. But
I
okay.
mean,
They
it
honestly
would
could,
also
yeah.
get super fucked up. After a bit.
I don't know if it would get super fucked up.
I remember.
Oh
what
yeah,
it was.
okay, not
Did
super.
Lina ever get like a weird adventure like Dark has just a weird side adventure interlude?
I think she's minding her own
Oh.
business.
Oh,
Is
okay.
this the normal Elsa?
I don't know. We can analyze that maybe when we get to their cards. Also,
Yeah,
if I
it's
could have just a couple minutes, possibly while Omega's doing something,
Let me get the art.
I have actually successfully moved into my own apartment now. And I begin college on tomorrow. So my schedule is much different now. But suffice to say, I should have the evenings off more frequently.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's true. But like, you could have mentioned this. I guess you didn't mention
Well, I'm
this on stream.
sorry. I
Mentioned
just realized
this
my
on, like,
delay is like super
Well,
slow.
Discord.
For the for the sake of the crowd, the audience, that
Some
hey,
of them might not even
David guy only
recognize.
pops in occasionally.
Some of them might not even recognize
Remember
David
David.
right off the top because
Yeah.
it's been a little bit. But if you have actually watched our progression series, he's in that.
Yes,
after a while.
the second lowest place person in the entire
The token chaos
Franklin
is
progression.
incorporated.
Where did you fall the second? I guess I did win the last
No, I
episode,
was-
so possibly.
I mean, I was at kind of the bottom of the roughly 50-50.
Yeah. I know
And
Mothras
but
unfortunately
yeah.
always are worst. I did go
Yeah.
on a little bit of a tear before we actually had to stop because everybody's schedules like, exploded for a while, and they're still, I guess,
Yeah.
exploding. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I
this
never got
one's-
that card sleeve. But all right, we're gonna probably rip through the card arts pretty fast because, chat, allow me to spoil for you all of the effect text and the stat lines of every normal ass Earth Charmer. They all came out in Lost Millennium right at the start of GX era. They're
Yeah.
all their respective attribute. They are a level 3 flip spellcaster. They have 500 attack and 1500 defense, and their effect reads: flip, target a blank monster your opponent controls, take control of that target while this card is face up on the field. So immediately, the original Charmers were much more of a side deck card. They are almost anti-support. Obviously, being
Yeah.
the attribute means that they do help you out if you're already playing that attribute by letting you get more monsters on your side of the field for this stuff, but they are not very useful in this capacity, and this is why you almost never see the OG Charmers. Honestly, this is probably why Konami is getting around to printing the Channeler cards, but boy, they taking their sweet time on that one. In fact, I think the only reason why they're printing Kita is because they want to push several fire archetypes this format.
Yeah, I mean, also, I will say that that's exactly why, say, some of their future support in, say, Spirit Charmers and whatnot, prevent them from being destroyed when they get flipped up.
Yeah,
So that
they
their
have
effect-
they have a lot of these sorts of effects about protection
There's
from
ways to make
effects and
I don't
things.
know, I think there's a way to make flip
Yeah.
effect monsters useful. I've always heard this idea of people making flip monsters that basically, once they're flipped over, their effect goes off like a quick effect, like a quick effect speed.
I mean,
so
it
that
does though.
It goes up before it, so it can prevent itself from being destroyed, or because
I mean,
it's being
it-
destroyed. Yeah.
What you're describing are just flip monsters.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
most time when people destroy them, like there's some weird timing stuff that can just not.
No, not really.
No,
I
okay.
mean, no.
No,
If you have a monster face down that can't be, have you never flipped an Aroma Jar Axe? You have. You played against me.
Yeah,
That
I'm
card
just
says
used
it
to
can't
being
be
like-
destroyed by battle, so it can't be destroyed.
Yeah.
It's just that Konami does not make flip cards like that normally. And also, flip effects are basically quick. The problem is that because the way the damage step works, you you are in the middle of conducting a battle, so you have to resolve the state of whether or not you are being destroyed. But this is why some flip cards are still good and have been good. Like, Raikou has always been a card that has been really, really good because it immediately ends, even if it gets run over, it immediately ends in, well, a card gets popped non-targeting.
Yeah, the part of the problem with the Charmers specifically is A, their defense is 1500. They get run over by anything reasonably strong.
And B, they wrote into their own effect text the semicolon, which is while this card is face up on the field. So they're.
Yeah.
I assume it's because I'm pretty sure. Let's see. First set of GX, Change of Heart would have been limited, if not outright banned. I don't know where Snatch Steal was, but that's a card that also only works while it's face up on the field. So I think Konami was realizing that just permanently stealing your opponent's monsters with no effect was very strong at the time and could be very dangerous. Whereas nowadays, there are I think you can play 2 fucking Change of Heart and Master Duel right now. It's a thing.
Can you now?
Yeah, I believe
enough,
literally the
honestly,
ban list was like yesterday, and I think they semi-limited change.
It's like Regeki. Sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah, no, you can already play 2 Regeki. I mean, I'm pretty sure Master Duel's going to do what the TCG did and say, fuck it, you can have 3 Regekis. We literally don't care anymore. The amount of decks that are actually stopped by 3 Regeki doesn't matter.
It's like it gives you a chance, but it doesn't mean your opponent's not
Call,
gonna
I mean,
focus
the
on
problem is, Axe, is that Regeki does not stop a floodgate. Call me when they put Feather Duster to 3. Call me when they bring back Heavy Storm.
You know, you are right. It does not stop. It does not stop Teekboo.
Your opponent just flips Teekboo or Summon Limit or something, and you're like, well, Raigeki's
Oh,
cool,
they-
but you're already planning on playing the game with no monsters, so what the fuck do I do?
All you have to do is hope your opponent paid enough of the life points where you can beat them up with one big monster.
Yeah, I really think.
But,
that
Oh,
Oh, he's actually. Is that actually? Well, that can't be true, Filthy Casual, because there's no channeler for area, and they already did the water pack. That's why you guys got Stealth Kragan and shit.
Oh yeah, Mate,
Yeah,
I wanted
shark
to say
cards.
this ever since Osa's art was on screen.
Yeah, I've had Asa up for a while. Sorry, we should get to it
She
because there's a
just-
lot of these.
She legitimately screams to me. It's like, one, it feels like it was designed for it being way smaller art wise, or it's just very artist early work, and it just screams like
Yeah.
it screams like manga cover of like a shoujo. It feels like shoujo.
Yeah,
manga
yeah.
cover.
I mean, let me
Or
double
like
check again.
Or just like early 2000s video game.
Let me see what else. Well, actually, it's funny you say that because Fujiwara was credited with like extra artwork on like some Konami games that were like made to tie in with like Shaman King and stuff. And
It's
Let's see what her
it's got that feel.
website
It's got that
is.
feel.
I-
Yeah.
I
her
can
website is
see that.
not currently up. But yeah, I feel like that's probably like where she got her start was just like Konami was like, shit, we need some art assets for video games. Let's go into the bullpen and pick an artist. You today. And I assume that Konami, because they were a video game company, like before they took on the card gaming business, were like, fuck it, we'll just get our video game artists to draw card art. So yeah, you're right. This has very strong, and again, this was literally 2005. Lost Millennium. So,
Yeah.
but this has very early 2000s, manga cover vibes. I also like how Asa is clearly the tomboy one. Obviously, you can tell by the lines of her body shape that she is indeed a
Always
girl.
wearing shorts.
But
would
yes,
say
she
she's-
has short tomboy hair. She has bike shorts on, shit like that. So she always seems like she's kind of the, not necessarily the sporty, but the down to earth.
She's honestly to me, she's the brainy tomboy.
Yeah, like she's obviously these guys are all magicians, and I think they're all supposed to be kind of nerds. But like, she's the sporty one.
He does more like the pure tomboy, just being she's aggressive.
She's the aggro crag one. But yeah, so a lot of good design elements we're gonna see here. You'll notice you'll all notice they have different staves. I like Asa's staff actually, with like the rock crystals sticking out the end.
It's very like
Yeah.
Adamantipator.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
may even have recycled that. She's got like some vials of stuff in her pocket. Rocking
It's obvious
classic
she made
mage
the-
wear,
she made the
like
staff herself kind of thing.
She's aside from the slightly derpy face, like it's
yeah.
not a
The
bad
lines are simple. You can tell she's got the cute little
and
the two tomboy
even,
fangs.
Even the slightly derpy face, I don't mind.
No, it's just it.
The eyes are just a bit off for me. But
Yeah, and I
also,
think
one
it's
thing,
because, like
is
you
her
said,
hair
Axe,
that
I bet this
long, or
was.
is it just that's something else in the back? Like, down
No, I think that's
No,
part of her
that's-
cloak, because you can tell that her hairline's end
well,
and she's
no,
got a hood.
Because each of them have that little pom-pom thing on their...
Oh, yeah,
hip.
okay, so it must be, like, part of their uniform somehow.
You'll-
But yeah, I
you'll
like
see that
this.
each
Like,
of them have
I
that
swear,
colored pom-pom.
I'd turn this into a 14 glam.
It feels like she's like it's a weird mix between like a scholar and a black mage.
Yeah, maybe not
yeah.
even black mage, but, like, because she doesn't have a hat. Maybe still, like, a thaumaturge, but, yeah, that kind of thing.
I
You
mean,
can see her
like,
familiar
I
in
mean,
here.
You don't need a hat. when
She's
you're-
got the axe. I think every black mage player would be out
what
here
I'm
like,
saying
you
though
need
is
a hat.
it's because her hat is her glasses actually, because you.
I
can't
guess
see
that's
those
true. That is
separately.
the face headpiece. But yeah, no. It is. I believe it is canonical that Elsa has the bustiest body type technically, but we'll see. There are actually several iterations of
Sturdy.
these cards, both throughout art styles and just throughout time. There are, like I said, there are different versions who are supposed to be.
It's been like over
different
it's
periods
like
in
over
her
like
life.
6-8
Yeah.
years, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
it-
it's
again-
well, it's generically say like they're 15, so like they're technically counted as adults in Japanese culture, kind of
Oh,
thing.
jeez. I just realized that, yeah, no, these were early GX cards when they started. They're still making them
Yeah,
slowly.
They're like just
they're
it's like a
they're
subculture.
whipping them
They're
out, and
Yu-Gi-Oh subcultures,
they
are-
had some
they are
tighter
the
stuff in there.
eternal, They are the eternal archetype.
Well, and that's probably why it was so popular. You can see
They're
her familiar. Also, I
microcosm.
mentioned him here the card we will later refer to as Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness, but we'll work on that one later. It's also very interesting because, fun fact, almost all of the Charmers have a rando old school vanilla monster as they're familiar, except Hita, who has an effect monster, Foxfire. You've probably heard of it. I believe it's been in some decks. Anyway,
Honestly, I think it's
Yeah.
because she's also probably picked the most dangerous one technically.
well, we'll get into it when we
Also-
get in there, like,
But
because
it's
there's
like,
the Unbound
honestly
and
with,
other versions as well we will talk about.
I think it's
Yeah.
fitting for Asa to pick an actual like basically she was stubborn and kind enough to tame the actual demon thing.
Well, also, it's
I-
Earth.
Yeah.
That said, I assume it is meant to be something about her character that, like, she is the one that we picks the weird fiend squirrel.
Archie thought it was cool.
God damn it,
Yeah.
internet, you're killing me here. I just want normal area, not the advanced version.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, that's
searching for
gentle.
These cards must be a pain.
Here we go, yeah. Also, because as I've said, the Link versions are way more popular. We'll get into another thing later when we talk about, I think it's their Familiar Possessed versions, but, yeah, it's the Familiar Possessed. They have alt arts that were in the structure deck, so it gets weird. But
Yeah.
I believe, yes, this is sized correctly. This is Area the Water Charmer. So yeah, she's got the little palm or fan thing hooked to her belt. I did not realize that her uniform, like, it is much more uniform-like. Like, she's wearing basically the exact same cloak as Elsa. She's wearing a very similar sweater top. She's just got the skirt instead of the bike shorts. And, you can see her staff there. She's still got the
different
little
color.
almost things.
And then like Gigabyte or Gigabyte's so
Yeah, it's
floating there.
Gigabyte. She's chilling.
Oh, I
Great
forgot
background
to
work, by
mention,
the way.
I was gonna say the only thing I think the Charmer deck ever had going for it was like a side splash for a second in I think Dogmatica decks.
I can see that. But
Yeah, there's a couple
the
of
weird
tricks
thing is,
there.
right-
You can also run them with invoked or kaiju engines. Yeah, what were you saying, X?
Yeah.
I have been reminded of something
Sweet.
interesting. I
So
kind of wish we got to see later versions of Arya meet Gagagigo and his whole sad plight adventure.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there's a
I
bit of
kinda wish we
weird
got back to that.
crossover energy because, like, and again, with the presence of Win versus Winda, it could be that just they're meant to be like alternate versions, like different timelines, different things.
like
you
how
know?
there's different guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Because
there's
they
a lot
literally
of these.
they literally say how like Dark Grepher and like a Light Ray
Yeah,
Grepher are separate timelines.
Yeah, and sometimes they meet and are like, what? Like, there's dimensional shenanigans, so maybe that's
and
what's
then Dark
supposed to be
Grepher
going on.
becomes Dark Lucius, I think. Or I think that's
Possibly, or he might become
This is-
Chaos Grepher. I don't know if we know. I gotta remember.
I think there's like one version of Dive becomes Dark.
But yeah, so this is Area. The art style is still very simple, though. Obviously, the background work on this is fucking phenomenal. Look at this
Yeah.
water shading. This is real good shit.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like it is very much like manga cover stuff in like a good way.
Which?
But maybe dial the bloom down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, there's a
don't
little
know,
bit of
seems
lens
a little
flaring. It was the
bloomy.
early 2000s.
But other than that, yeah, no. It's
All right, so we
it's
will
a
move
fine manga cover.
swiftly on. I mean, now that we've brought it up, yeah, like each one of these girls looks like they are a cover of a different volume. So here's Hita, the Fire Charmer. You know,
So immediately she feels like she's the rival character for like the first 2 arcs, and then she becomes their best friend.
I don't know. She could just be the. Technically,
Or
these
she's
guys
the
were all
Moki one.
released at the same time, so I think.
Yeah.
She's the Lancer.
I mean, she's
the
Red
angry
Axe. She's
one.
the main character.
Mm,
You have watched
Yeah.
enough Toku to know this is true.
no. That's only in Sentais. This is a Precure. Usually it's the blue or purple one. That's the
Is it
leader.
actually usually the blue or purple one? I know there's some debate on this, but I'm not an expert on
in,
Precures.
at least in magical stuff, it's usually not the red one's usually not the actual.
It's true.
It's only
Like
in
that's the same
Sentai.
for like. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
even though many magical girl teams are just oops Sentai with all girls, you're right that it's not always the same chromatics. 'cause,
Actually,
like,
sometimes it's usually
What?
sometimes it's even like the pink one.
actually,
Actually,
this is a good question. Yeah, because
It's
like,
usually
what
the pink
is
one.
what's Sailor like actual literal Sailor Moon's like dominant
I
color
really not
scheme?
Sailor Moon because Precure's a bit different.
Well, yeah, Precure does function differently, but
'Cause that one's actually just like a girl Sentai thing, but it has usually more
but the color
themes to it.
scheming and coordination is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, like yeah, so then in that case probably yes, she's the fiery hothead lancer who constantly gets herself into trouble. And you can tell cuz she's
Oh.
got kind of like the sassy look. You can't really see her full costume in this shot, but it seems like she's mostly wearing the same gear that all the other girls are.
Yeah.
Her staff is cool. It's got a little Bernie ball in it.
So I've checked.
She's
All
definitely
all
in more of-
Precure leaders, which is also I think actually kind of a reference in Madoka. All lead members of the all team leaders are pink.
Okay.
But yeah, she's also
There's
in
usually,
more
there's
of an
usually also a blue or yellow sometimes. Most of the times.
she's also in more of an action shot than the other two have been so far, and I'm pretty sure Win is in less of an action shot than her.
Yes. The other 3 of the original 4, because again, remember these are all released at once in Lost Millennium. The original 4. The 3 of them are like you said, more passive, more introspective. Like, hello, I am here, I'm doing a thing. But Hita has some extra spice.
She was like doing
Yeah.
a thing. She's annoyed that you're bothering her.
She looks like she is about to smack me with said flaming Orby staff thing.
Throw some fire.
I've never had the thing because like, and I think like this is also the same things with Downer Edition. Is like I wonder if they're all just part of a Magic Academy or something.
Possibly, there's a lot of that going around in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Next thing,
They-
we're
they
gonna
can't-
see the continuation
I
of
got,
the
oh my god!
Magistus storyline.
I want to see them attending a course by one of the Magic Crafters.
Yeah, I was
forget
gonna
any of
say,
it. Which craft? Where before they left the academy.
Listen, they
Yeah,
people already do play like Alistair for an invoked package because these girls are all different attributes. So,
I want to see them take a
There's some
lecture
shenanigans
from
here.
Professor Crowley. Honestly, that'd be cool.
all right, so let me make sure we're setting up. This is Win.
yeah.
She just looks kind of sad.
She's a little wistful. Just gonna
Yeah.
chat.
Like
But
the
the main thing here is obviously she's got kind of that green tone. She's got the staff, which, like I said, that is indeed the same staff that Winda has later. She also has a little bunny rabbit in there. It's another thing that Winda has.
Yeah,
She's with her familiar. There's some gusting winds that is very well drawn, but is a little. It's layered a little high, like it sticks out a little bit. But otherwise,
So, like,
yes, very well.
Here's my argument of who would be the main character, honestly, because at least depending on the thing of like it would be an active or passive, because some things in the 2000s usually had a very passive protagonist, so it'd probably be Win.
I was actually gonna say, yeah, no, I honestly think that Win here would be the main character, mostly because
Hold on one
she.
second, chat.
Quiet and keeps
You'll-
probably meant.
Well, no, you'll notice later on that a couple of the later forms she gets
Sorry for that.
first.
Misplaced a handkerchief. Okay.
Like she was the first of the channelers, I believe.
Yes, she's the one they remembered to bring out first. So yeah.
So
Though I think, let me check my notes. Funnily enough, when they went to Lynx, Hita was the first one they printed. The Win was the second. That might also have a lot to do with the fact that Konami was like, Well, if we print a Fire Link too, that's not going to break anything. Little did they know that Salad would continue to be the 8th best deck forever.
It's always, I guess, the king of the rogues.
Yeah, basically. And I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know what will be, but it's going to get support, so it'll come back.
Yeah,
Always
I
going to
mean,
be coming back.
yeah, boy.
Okay.
Talking about all that fire stuff that's about to come out.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, somebody said that they try to line up the summoner, the channelers. I don't think it's 100% true because, like I said, the water attribute pack already came out, but mostly people just played it for cheap sharks. So I can understand why maybe we didn't get in there. But fire is being much more pushed.
Well, because fire has kind of, in my opinion, been the neglected element of the 6 for the longest
yeah.
time. Aside from Salad, like.
It's definitely been lacking. It's like when they announced they were doing the fire attribute pack, everybody's like, okay, what's it gonna be? Well, it's gotta be Volcanics. At I guess it's probably Battling Boxer, because no support cards for that have come out in like 5 years. And what's the third one? Well, there's literally no other fire archetype, so it's gonna be Salad. And here we are.
I really liked the boxer support, but
Oh, no, it's good. It's just everybody was like, their first thought is Volcanics.
Yeah.
Which was added because everybody, like, Volcanics have also been, like, rogue contentious for years and years and years and many, many times. Today's episode of History of Jank, as you would expect, your boy Joseph Rothschild absolutely fleeced Simo running the worst Fluffle build in the universe with a Volcanics build.
A kind of middling super heavy build, but it was actually not that bad.
With Volcanic super heavy, which is, that's that good spice. It's
Yeah,
weird.
honestly,
as
I'm kind of amazed that, like,
that's the reason they've been afraid to give Volcanics anything. is
Yeah,
you give
probably
them
because Volcanics have
anything,
always been
and
like
they will F-
one card away from being good.
one
they've
card
been
per release
not
being
just
playable.
good, they've been like one card away from FTKing.
Yeah, you got to be careful about it. I think their actual cards have done a lot to make them not necessarily like actually do a full FTK, but make them a little result. Anyway, let's pull up Dark here.
Yeah.
I know it's a weird thing to say, but Dark immediately has like side character or like character. That's,
Well,
like,
so yeah, the art is slightly different here
mentor
because
figure.
there was 3 real life years past. Dark came out in Duelist Genesis. This was the start of the synchro format. So obviously our artist has evolved a little. You can tell that there's a little bit different of detail on like some of the lines of his face. Like I think the lines of his eyes are really deep. It obviously
He's got the
adds
same
to the
cloak,
effect.
But
Yeah, he's wearing a completely
me,
different costume. He's wearing
just
different
feels
set of
like
pants.
he
and
doesn't
stuff.
hang out with the girls. It's just the girls sometimes just hang out with him.
Yeah, you sometimes
They're-
run
they're
into
opposing.
Dark.
They run into him sometimes.
Well, something that you'll note about both him and Lina compared to the other two as well is they have little chains on their wrists that people have loved to theorize about.
Yeah, he also Dark's
Like
wrists are bandaged.
Yeah.
Oh, like how maybe the light and dark channelers are maybe illegal format or illegal methods.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
he's got a little Metabat, which is adorable. But yeah,
Yeah.
Dark kind of gives me like Hero of Another Story vibes. Like by
got his
other
own side
measures,
manga.
he would be the protagonist of a different story. But obviously, because we started with the other Charmers, he's not. But there's
Yeah.
definitely something about his art style and appearance, which is a little more. I mean, it's funny that they named him, Dark, the Dark Charmer, Gloomy and stuff. So it kind of works out.
Yeah.
I don't actually know
Little
how
press boy.
useful Dark was when he came out, but I'm sure he did do something.
God, and now just image of Dallas is here to say he's a sad boy.
He,
Dallas,
he
what's
just
that?
looks a little tired, is all.
I don't think he gets to sleep often.
Is this actually? Hold on. This is what Linus' first art looked like? It is, damn.
God, I'm honestly, I kind of.
Well, so I mean, it makes sense. Chat, you may be like, "Whoa, hold on, this looks way different." There's a reason for that. So,
Yeah, I think Lina's took forever to come out.
yeah, Lina did not come out for 5 years until after the original Charmers. She is a card from 2010, so you can immediately see the difference. There is way more detail in the shading.
There are some stencil layers on it.
Yeah, no, this is like a very different art style. Look at the shading on that Happy Angel and shit.
Like, it's
I
like
mean-
it's digitally layered, but it's also hand drawn at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
She's got the same thing as
that
Dark,
could
though,
still
yeah.
be that could still be a manga cover.
Yeah, it could be. It's just it's a manga cover from 2010 instead of
I will say
2005.
she's got like, this is maybe just me, but she's got like their senpai vibes kind of thing.
Yeah, she does kind of. It's either that or she's like the mysterious plot girl they rescue halfway through.
And like Dark's
Yeah,
like the guy
yeah.
who's looking for her or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She also still has the same. I don't know if I don't think all of them have the idiot hair, but both Dark and Lina have the idiot hair.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was thinking about like it's only Light and Dark that have like the chain. Right?
I believe so, unless some of the other
Yeah.
side arts for the Charmer girls do.
It's interesting because it's also she's wrapped her hand under it, so it's like she can take it off, I guess, because she wrapped her hand under it.
Possibly, I assume so. I mean, it's broken, so it might be symbolic. I do like that you'll notice though that she has a actual like professional like arm guard on her other arm, like she's ready to rock. I also wonder if this is perhaps why people draw connections to Gishki, because it's not exactly the same, but the design of this staff is very similar to the Aqua Mirror later.
It's like if Aquamirror was
Well,
dismantled and they used parts of it.
I
honestly.
suspect that's a Japanese thing, because I've seen mirrors.
It's true.
used with-
Well,
It's one of
the
the
mirror
mirrors.
is one of the 3 Imperial Regalia, so it is important.
Yeah.
But the way this one is kind of artistically gussied up might, like, again, because
Yeah.
same artist drew some dual terminal cards, which would be around the same time. We might have, gone to some similar ideas. But yeah, Lina took a long-ass time to come out. And in fact, I'm going to move on to the familiar possessed cards. And
because I think the Familiar Possessed actually came out before.
yes,
Dark and Light
all
did.
4 familiar possesseds of the original girls came out before Dark and Lina came out, because they also came out later that year in 2005 and 2005 in Elemental Energy. In case, by the way, if you were ever curious, hey, did Konami always have these kind of like themes in mind when they did sets like, Power of the Elements or how Battle of Chaos had chaos monsters in it? Yes, they have indeed always done this. It's like how there's going to be a
Or at
shitload of
least-
synchro shit in Duelist Nexus. All right, so you're going to have to give me a little bit of a sec here, because there are 2 arts for these. The familiar possessed ones, and in general, we'll go over the vibes, but the familiar possessed are the versions of the Charmers that have 1850 attack, so they are usually the more popular ones, and they're the ones that got alt arts for the structure deck. So this is the original art of familiar possessed Ausa, and then here is the, let me shrink it a little to match the size, but here is the alt art. So, also, by the way, fun fact, some people might be like, ooh, familiar possessed, that's scary. No, in Japanese, this is Hyoe Sochoku, which means possession equipped. So this is just their perfectly normal magical girl power-up mode.
Honestly, I was thinking it's like a trance mode.
Yeah.
I think it's like F6. Honestly.
Yeah, I thought it was them.
They are
Possessing their
equipped with their,
familiars?
they are equipped with their familiars.
Yeah.
Because a possession doesn't mean have to be a violent thing. It can be heavily.
Yeah, it's true, but like we said, some people will try and draw like darker theories. No, that's not what these cards mean anyway.
This is them.
Though
as, like,
that the
teenagers, yeah.
super nefarious, double nefarious man is very scary.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Alsa did get kind of the more frightening. Of the...
I believe his normal mode translated name is Daemon Eater. So he is the Demon Eater. But also, here's Ausa, again, rocking kind of her, like, slightly tomboyish look. She's still got her big sweater. And she's still got her, bike shorts on, but maybe looks a little taller, a little better lines in her face. There's some interesting added details. Yeah.
Something just hit me of, those wikis of like long-running manga that show basically the characters how they look amongst. After
Oh,
certain
yes,
points in
I'm
time?
very familiar
So
with
basically,
those things.
First art is beginning of story. The one on the right, end of arc 1 or 2, and then the one on the left, post time skip.
Yeah, well, post the first time skip. We'll get there in a second. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if they're directly related to Dorado. You do run Dorado with them usually, because Dorado and Dark Dorado are one of the few cards that are actually like useful to an Oops All Charmers deck.
They would have an art with them all involved, at least overlapping once or twice. Because they do that in other things like with crafters and Dominion.
Yeah, like there's I mean, it would make sense because the original Doreado is just random vanilla.
Yeah. Although I think her text mentions that she's like a master manipulator of all the elements or something.
No, the original
Yeah,
Doreado
that's
just
what
says Spirit of the Forest.
No. Then I'm just making shit up and just
Yeah.
Mandela affected myself.
Yeah. Dark Doreado, says all earth, fire, water, and wind monsters you control gain 200 attack and defense for each different attribute, and then if she's normal summoned, choose 4 monsters and place them on top of your deck. So, like, you play Dark Doreado in your Charmer deck because why the fuck not? She's a level 4 spellcaster, so you can actually do some shit.
God,
and
I
she
can
helps
see
your
I can see the really dumb thing of being
effects mentioned, but
she's the teacher that went evil and they have to
it
stop.
could be,
It's like,
but
it's just
yeah.
Mhm.
There's no confirmed connection there, but with Konami, you can never be sure.
If
But-
they ever you have to wait till they actually make the master
Yeah,
mode
so,
or just an actual book out of
The the art that is on the left of our current screen was the original 05 art, and so the second art is the one from the redraw from the structure deck, which was 2020. So again, 15 years of difference here. Even though they're supposed to be the same card, they do have some very distinct looks in their art style. Especially, I think Marmot is very different looking, but there's a lot fun going on here.
It's because the familiar
I think it's
cards got
different.
made afterward.
True.
Well, I think it's different forms of Marmot because I think that's actual. On
Yeah,
on
there's
the
a
one on the
couple
left there,
couple
that's
different variations
actual.
we'll get into after the main girls, but there's a lot more like shading and detail in this I like. But they're both pretty good, they
Yeah,
showcase a
yeah.
lot of stuff. So the way the Familiar Possessed works, they are all still spellcasters of their original attributes, so Elsa is Earth, etc. They still have 1500 defense, so that line still counts, and what is why you see that one a lot. But also they have 1850 attack, so that's another thing that actually works there because they are not meant to be just like the normal versions. They are, them going on the attack. All of them say you can special summon them from your hand or deck, by the way, by sending a face-up the X Charmer, and so in this case, also the Earth Charmer, and an Earth monster you control to the graveyard. If this card is special summoned by its own effect, inflict piercing. Do they all do piercing, or is it
Yes,
just...
they all do.
Yeah,
They
I'm just
all
trying to
gain
remember. Yeah.
piercing when that happens.
So basically,
It's-
the main value of the Familiar Possessed is just, hey, if you have a face-up Ausa and a Earth monster, you can summon this and do something. Honestly, these cards would probably be OP if you eroded them to, say, one Ausa the Earth Charmer card, because that would allow you to also work off the links the way their names are written. And the way their names
True,
are written
yeah.
makes me wonder if maybe Konami considered that option, but they probably decided early in the Link era that special summoning from deck like that was not a good idea, because that would also proc your Link Charmer.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know the effect is meant to be literally you summon your familiar, like they summon their familiar.
Yeah, they
and
equip
then
their
they
familiar to themselves.
and then they equip their familiar, and,
Yeah.
or guess they like technically both.
Yeah, they
break
equip
down
it to
to
them.
remake.
They come together. They have their magical girl transformation.
Yeah, so
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
all of them will
that's awesome.
will follow that format as we go through the names. So that was Ausa.
and it's an effect that rarely comes up outside of more modern with their
Yes.
support that helps them with that. But
That said, like I said earlier, they are still like the fact that they have the 1500 defense and also have the 1850 attack, which is not bad by any means. That's
yeah,
that's
no,
pretty good
that's-
line, and they guess what? Much like other attribute themed decks, they have a lot of their support cards. Honestly, I wonder if Konami started developing the concept of Charmer support after seeing their success with Dragon Maids, because they have a couple of trap and spell cards that have attack modulating effects that are very similar to the Dragon Maid cards, and I think even some of them are like, hey, if a spellcaster leaves your field, because they have a lot of send each other to graveyard for stuff,
Mhm.
you can plus. So it's very interesting. Unfortunately for Dragon Maid players, unlike Dragon Maid, Charmers actually get a field spell, which actually does stuff. That said, you only see it half the time. Unfortunately, a lot of other people play Charmers, play it as a stun deck. So you see a lot of Skill
Yeah.
Drain and Secret Village of the spellcasters.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they have a field spell. Do you really play it over Secret Village?
You could, because it isn't. I mean, it's a negate, so you could
Yeah.
play it. It's just the mere presence of Village of the Spellcasters unfortunately makes it obsolete because it's just so stupid good. Your opponent cannot play spell cards ever. Well,
Yeah.
shit. And if you need to turn it off, just set another copy of it, you know? It's like Mystic Mind shit. If you can run it, why not? But okay, all right, I don't need that one. I'm double-checking which area art was first. That's what I'm doing. Because I found both arts. I think I know which one is supposed to be the first one, but... Yeah, okay, this is the original one. So let's scooch them. This is area as she... familiar persist area as she originally looked. And then here is V2. It's not the same size, but because of course it isn't. Scooch it up a little. So again, 15 years passed between these two card arts, and you can tell.
Yeah.
The original card art is very, like, I don't want to say soulful, but, like, somber. Like, she's kind of looking into the distance while, juiced up Gigobite over there is like, yeah.
I'm gonna punch him.
Yeah, whereas the second shot is much more dynamic. She is actively using her water Gigabite arms to punch.
Not a stand.
Yes.
Because it's not a stand.
Yeah. I do like that, and also in this case, we've actually taken the time to, like, draw out more details, because you can see this, the little, like, familiar equipping band around her in both, but, like, you can actually see that, like, she's wearing, looks like the top of a dress or something under her sweater and cloak. You got her skirt, obviously, but you also can see, like, oh, she's got, little strap boots on. Looks pretty comfy.
Mm-hmm.
Still got her little pound. But, yeah. It's area, all right.
It very much is.
Now that you made the stand joke, though, I'm just thinking, yeah, this first art is absolutely the fucking Stand Master screen. For poor Gigabite with area like that. All right. I think Hita's next in my alphabetical list. Let's look at them. Possessed Hitas.
I know I make those references a lot, and I apologize for that half the time.
You do not need to. In general, we do it a lot.
But this one.
It's because a Gigabite is basically a weird reptile man.
Yeah.
All right, so this is art number 1 of Familiar Possessed Hita.
Yep, that is a very angry Hita. Or at least some level of distress going on there.
That's a very big blow up, but let me shrink that down. So her second version of the art goes in a slightly different direction. I also think this is funny because this is the first time we see Hita from the front, so you can see that, again, speaking of, like, which one of these is the sporty one, she's got, like, a bikini or crop top, but it's over her, like, button-up shirt, which is under her belt but opened buttons so you can see her navel. This girl reads some fashion magazines.
This is like,
Yeah.
it feels like a thing of she needs to wear the belt, but she doesn't feel like buttoning her shirt ever.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she does have the bottom button done, so it's weird, but, like, yeah.
Honestly, it feels like
she's technically in compliance with her dress code.
Oh,
Yes,
I agree.
it's the school dress code. You have to have one button done up.
Because she's always had the shirt. It's just she doesn't wear a bra, so she wears basically a crop top over it.
It's very strange. She's I do like her. She's got the short skirt, long stocking combo. Though it looks like in the second shot her stockings are ripped, possibly not on
Yeah.
purpose. There are very interesting things about the differences in art style here. So in the original one, you can see Great Inari Fire kind of, hovering over her shoulder, all phantasmal-like. The second art is like she's turned him into a hood, an animal, like a kimono mimi, or a kigurumi like thing. I don't know which is better, but they're both very interesting. I will say the facial expression difference is kind of interesting because the newer art, the alt art, is like she's having a good time. She's like, yeah, fire, woo. The second one is like, damn, I'm gonna have to set somebody on fire. I also noticed that her hair is a lot more red or reddish pink in both of these. It was kind of more of a brown red in the original.
This is kind of a dumb thing, but is this the only one they actually made her thighs bigger?
Technically no, but in this version of the card art, yes. I imagine that the artist was thinking of Hita with more of this character design. Like, again, remember, I'm pretty sure the alt arts are still the same artist, but you're looking at a 15-year gap, literally. So I suspect that the artist actually tried to differentiate the way the girls looked a little better than just giving them different hairstyles and colors.
Like, I enjoy that, like, Asa looks serious, and he looks like she's having fun. I like there's a distinct difference there.
Yeah, they have, like, different facial expressions, they have different body types, so there's, like, some shake-up there. Also, as you saw from chat, Loth is, I believe, attempting to join us, but Discord is being weird.
Yeah, I know, right?
There you are, hey. Nice.
Hello.
So, sorry for being late. Also, I love, like, you mentioned the 15-year gap. Yeah, just look at the hairs from the left to the right. Just the sheer difference in the hair.
Yeah, there's a lot more shading and detailing and stuff.
Hey, Zed.
So,
Good to see you guys.
okay.
Yeah,
How
so
many of the
you
charmers have I missed?
All of the base ones, and we're, like, halfway through the Familiar
there.
Possessed. But that's okay, Loth. There are many more charmers. We haven't even talked about their familiars yet, either. We have not yet talked
yes.
about Archfiend Moment of Nefariousness. And then it's evolved from Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness.
Time to go
It's
into
the
the...
silliest name.
Feels like it named itself, for real.
I mean, I get what they're going for there.
Oh my god, okay, good. Sorry, I just had to double check something quickly. But I'm looking forward to us talking about good old Gagagigagugugu.
Yes, some of the names for the familiars get a little weird. All right, so this is the original art of Familiar Possessed Win. And then the alt art.
You missed me bemoaning the fact there is no ever art of Gagagio encountering older Arya.
Yeah. That's a whole separate storyline, sadly.
Yeah.
Somebody... Does nobody have a blow-up of this
Oh
alt
my
art?
god. Sorry, she looks like the typical, like, 90s anime character that you want to see bullied.
I mean, this
Jesus
is
Christ,
05.
Her staff is very different, I think.
It's
Hard to
not
tell.
really. It's just got a guy in the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's got determination art, even though she's still kind of a passive girl.
Seriously, dude.
It
Anybody?
also helps when you have a dragon that looks like it's ready to eat whatever's in front of
All
her.
right, I will have to do some slightly creative stitching on this one. So,
No one has a proper version.
yeah, nobody's done a proper cutout of the new Win, even though somebody did the weird full art edit. So I will steal your edit, you fool, for not just making a full blow up of this card. I shall modify your art. There's the new one. So again, you can tell
She looks happy now.
well, also, I think it's because there's also more detail on her face. Like, it's very similar, but there's a little bit better shading. And, like, the eyes are drawn differently with much more color striation. Like, she actually has pupils in the second art.
Honestly, she now feels like, instead of being, like, wistful like the wind, she's now, like, free. She's kind of, like, got, like, a free spirit kind of vibe to her.
Yeah. I do also like, again, they do these subtle outfit differences in their second modes. Where, I mean, you can see it because she's wearing, like, a slightly different... She's got, like, the sweater, like, or the underlayer, like, open, so she's got a normal shirt underneath in her skirt. In the second form, and she's wearing, Rasen Ryu, like, a scarf, which is fucking adorable. But also, look at her with these, like, little leg warmer boots and stuff. Like, everybody's got their own unique style, and I like that a lot, especially because they seem to be wearing, like, a uniform before.
Yeah, no, like, the Charmers, if anything, are very good at... You know, if you want to study how minor differences will make very different character interpretations, like,
Yeah.
this is a good series of cards to look at.
And like we said, there was a lot to read in from like how Hita has her dumb thing with her fucking belt over her shirt, which is down to the last button unbuttoned, and you're like, okay, so she's the sassy one. Whereas, like Axe said, you know, Win with kind of her legs kicked up like that and her hair blowing is like, oh, she looks so free-spirited, like Axe said. You know, it's a lot of subtle things. Alrighty. Now, I do not believe...
Which I feel like is just... Honestly, I feel like it's more also an attest to, like, how anime treats Win-themed characters over the last 2 decades.
I mean, what else do you want? It's like... That's you want to do wind or air, that's it. What do you got?
No, I mean, like,
You're
you, like, back in, like, the early 2000s, they usually treated it as, like, the kind of, like, wistful, quiet characters, but now, like, nowadays it's more like the free spirit kind of types.
I can only assume that Japan liked Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because personally, like, I guess there is some association of, like, there's no standalone wind. There's, it's usually associated with wood in Wuxing, but air is an element in the...
Charmer card, she's fucking bald.
No, not like that. Alright. So there's no alt art of Familiar Possessed Dark because he was not reprinted in the structure deck because their thing was more about, like I said, the 4 attributes.
The 4 attribute ones.
It's a little too
Yeah, shame.
set up.
This guy showed up and then faded into obscurity for some reason.
Maybe he got stuffed in a jar somewhere.
He tried to do the forbidden art. He tried to draw 2 cards, and he got banished for it.
Honestly, now I've now thought about it. It's like he legit just makes me think of like this feels like the guy you'd see as like as the front cover of like a Final Fantasy Tactics manga.
Yeah, something like that. There's a lot of cool color shit going on in this one, I should point out.
Yeah, this one's busy.
It's a little too busy with like the background, but it's really interesting.
Okay, now that I've taken a better look at it now, I can kind of see what's going on. Because it's a little hard to tell, but eyeball floating thing back there.
Yeah, it's Metabat who's juiced up.
Metabat. Metabat back there. His wingspan kind of blends in with the feathers a little bit. The coloring does.
And there's like a strange aura around his weapon. I also want to point out, you know, there's a weird link of light on his wrist chain. You know, doing some interesting stuff here.
I wonder if someone in the future will have a similar weird link of light.
So, also, by the way, once again, this card was, as usual, way later. This was printed in 2012 in Order of Chaos, which was, you know, named after Chaos, so there was going to be some light and some dark shit. But that was the Xyz era. Honestly, this was when fucking Insectors came out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like I'm also noticing that the back of Dark's cloak got fucking cut, and
he stitched it together.
So it's like I'm wondering. Honestly, I always feel like they could make a thing of like Dark and Lina Chaos Charmers as a link card or some shit.
That could be kind of cute to do an actual, because that's another thing Konami has been pushing a little bit more lately and not gone super deep on.
Like pseudo chaos, like actual chaos JK cards that aren't like actual chaos.
What?
But yeah, they are pushing chaos cards a little, so there's some stuff there.
I wouldn't say Harem protagonist Doc, but considering he just dips, he just.
I mean, he doesn't quite dip. They finally remembered
It's
to print his Link version, but yeah, well, this line is very big.
More,
let me shrink this down a little. This is Familiar
Jesus
Possessed
Christ.
Lina. Hey, guys, do you want to guess when this card was printed?
Actually, just Lina and Dark's art line up if we put them side to side.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Well,
But you do see the light trail.
Yeah, she does have the trail, but I don't think the lines like line up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hey, do y'all know when this was printed?
I'm gonna go with 50
What?
casual and say 2020.
No, you overshot a little.
2019.
No, you are still overshooting, but you're in the right direction. Familiar Possessed Lina was printed in the year 2017 in
Oh, okay.
Maximum Crisis, the Zark
Oh.
set. Literally, it's the one with Zark on the cover.
So, have we ever gotten art of the improved version of her familiar? I forget.
No,
Happy
I don't
Lover.
believe her or
Yeah.
Dark have a juiced up version of their familiars. Yeah, there's no juiced up version of Metabat or Happy Lover, which is Sag.
I feel like
Yeah,
they should
a
do
little
that and
bit.
maybe make like the chaos card.
Right. That was her.
Yeah, she was just a little puffball. Now, I do like, speaking of both the art evolving and speaking of that little puffball, I do really like what they've done with Familiar Possessed Lina. Like, she's
It's
got,
a-
like,
yeah,
facial
wings.
markings and colorings like Happy Lover. The wings are, like,
Yeah.
seamlessly blended into her cloak. It's really cool. I just
Like,
want to
even
ask
body-
Konami,
Very good.
why did you wait so many years to print this? I don't know.
Because
Lightsworn, I guess.
How long did they want to not give us any?
And now, I will say,
Yeah.
actually, let me double check that Dark's not different, but Familiar Possessed Lina... Oh, okay. Actually, no, so they go together. Yeah, Dark does have a slightly different effect. I forgot to mention. When Dark
yeah,
is
yeah,
summoned, you can add a level 3 or 4 light spellcaster monster. Once again, calling the shot on
Oh.
Familiar Possessed Lina, even though she wasn't printed.
Yeah,
and then-
I forgot to mention.
Yes, Lina's effect is, when summoned this way, add a spellcaster with 1500 defense to your hand, except Lina. So, oh, and she does have an alt art. Wow, they gave her an alt art in maximum gold. Okay, let me grab her original then as well.
Oh wait, that's the altar.
Yeah, this is the alt art. It's a great alt art.
Oh,
This,
yeah, no,
oh,
it's
no,
great.
I did not copy correctly. Hold on, it's my bad. Fucking with my fucking key shortcuts.
Honestly, I'm now getting. I noticed how the weird mental vibe of. I feel like Dark and Lina are like siblings or something.
There
Yeah,
it
I didn't actually say it
Yeah,
outright,
there it is.
but I assume that they were probably siblings or something. This one I think does line up, by the way, because Dark was like
Yeah.
super high. So this clicks. I don't think this art is as cool. I do
Oh,
think there's
no,
some
it's
interesting
not.
things going on there. Like, you notice she doesn't have like the arm guard; she's just got a big glove. But her coat is like not tattered. It's very interesting. The alt art though is fucking sick.
Puffball.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Which also I think it's super cool because it was printed in Maximum Gold Eldorado as a premium gold rare, so it is fucking shiny as hell. Ooh, do I
And
actually have this
also-
one? Let me go to- I'm gonna check my
Wait.
binders.
There's a
later.
reason
Maximum
why
Gold
Familiar
Eldorado
Possessed
was not long ago. That was what the maximum gold for 2020.
For
There's a
2021.
reason-
Yeah.
There's a reason why she was printed with Ziark, because we clearly had to waifu up the set with the most edgiest boy.
Possibly.
Fair.
But yeah, so this
Yark
is
is an edgy
kind of
boy.
why we're talking about like the fact that there are gaps in the support for Charmers. I do kind of feel like I wish they did do some of the light and darks like we said, because obviously Double Dark is Familiar Possessed Dark chains into Lina and into Familiar Possessed Lina, who wouldn't be printed for 5 years after he was printed, because it says 3 or 4 light. And then Lina fetches any of your Charmers, sets or Familiar Possessed with her 1500. So they have deck synergy, but the way that the deck is currently built, you wouldn't actually run them that way, because you'd never get Familiar Possessed Lina's normal summon condition off in a deck. Because you're not gonna be playing regular flip Lina and a light monster to do it. So I'd love to see some kind of some interesting synergies there.
I've seen some dumbass stuff from Master, which is they summon either Lina or Dark. I think the Link version to steal your monster from your graveyard.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it's
pretty
funky.
common for link climbing.
Yeah, it's what the Link versions of them are for.
It's why they took so long to make, Link Lina and Link Dark.
So
In my
now
opinion.
let us talk about what are called the Cataclysmic Charmers. That's not an official name. It's just there's no other good for the verbing Charmers. So for instance, this
Yeah.
is Avalanching Ausa. Now you can immediately tell these are drawn by a different artist. This is known.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, these cards are also from like 05. Let me see
Oh, okay.
when where is this is Avalanching Ausa.
Yeah. these
Raging
are-
Ausa in Japanese.
Also looks like a-
This was 06, Enemy of Justice. So like
I was gonna
literally a year later.
I was gonna say I've seen Raging as a name for them too.
Mhm. Yeah, people use that sometimes. It's not quite true because the names don't line up, but yeah. These gals are weird, and also they're bad. Their effects are just awful, unfortunately. So this is why I don't think Konami acknowledges them, but also they got a different artist to do them. And while I think the concept is neat, these are clearly supposed to be the older versions of them. They are not necessarily, I mean, it turns out the way to improve the art and make them look different is to give the artist 15 years to get better. Shocking, I know, chat. But yeah. So, Avalanching Elsa is a level 4. She's the level 4 version of the spellcaster. She's not a flip monster, but she has the same flip stats, which is really weird because these guys came out after the Familiar Possessed, so you think they've done a little bit of work there. But I think all of them have an effect similar to this, but we'll double check. But basically, she says, once per turn, you contribute an Earth monster, except this card, to special summon an Earth monster from your hand. That monster special summon by this effect, I should say, is destroyed if Avalanching Elsa is removed from the field. Which, by the way, is an old way of writing this because she hasn't been reprinted in many years. Because she's bad. Like, obviously, I should say, not super bad in 06. Enemy of Justice, the peak of GX dumbass jank. But compared to the fact that Chaos monsters already exist and, like, all of the monsters from, like, Phantom Darkness, you know, Dark Armed Dragon and shit like that, we're gonna, like, blow special summoning conditions like this out of the water, you can very, very rapidly see why these versions of the cards never went anywhere. So they are an interesting footnote and an interesting aesthetic to talk about, but didn't really do anything. I think the funniest part to talk about is that a lot of these girls have lost arts. Their arts were censored in the TCG because they were a little bit older and were drawn a little bit differently. This is Blazing Hita.
I like the shading on her face.
Yeah, this one's much more dramatic. You can tell that she's, like, definitely supposed to be a taller. This is the first instance of the weird, slightly ripped stockings and thicker thighs. Though her shoes are very boring in this. This is the uncensored version. The censored version is just they're like, oh no, her short skirt is riding up slightly. Let's hide that. And they, like, took it down to her knees or something. They also probably removed the line that indicates she has cleavage because Konami.
I would say the one thing with like with the Os art was that I think the familiar looks nice. That was really it.
Yeah.
Also, just sorry, because I'm dumb. What monster is her familiar? Is it
Foxfire? Yeah, it's canonically Foxfire.
Ah, my boy Foxfire. I love that guy.
He is also the only one of the Charmers familiars that is an effect monster. All the remaining 5 are weird vanillas. It's very funny.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Foxfire later.
Yeah, I love that guy because I think I annoyed the fuck out of Omega in several duels with the Foxfire.
Yeah, he's a weird one.
He just keeps coming back.
Yeah. You just can't.
Man,
keep the
I want
fox down.
what I want to hear is the fucking artist notes on some of this shit. Like, what was Konami saying? Like, did they're like draw them more like are we trying to be like Josei to the original shoujo or something? Like, is that the literal notes here? I don't know.
That
But
or it's like they're going for like a.
here's
fucking-
Raging Area, who was Surging Area. So again, the shading and like coloring work on this is really interesting, but it's such a departure in the art style that I'm like, whoa, this doesn't look right.
It's like the weird thing about it feels like when you make characters that are like meant to look like they're like 14 in like their 30s, because she looks like a full-grown woman, like at least like the way like her face and body.
I will
detail.
say, I'm fairly certain that is the actual design intent. Like, if you compare the size of like this area's body to Gigabit here, and then to the other version, I think she is literally supposed to be taller.
Oh, it's fair. I just feel like then they should have gotten an outfit change.
Oh, well, they do actually have slightly different outfits. This is not the exact same thing that Aria wears. And again, hey, guess what? You're looking at the Lost Art version because the original had they were like, her skirt is too short. Ah!
Yeah.
And they made it way
I feel like
longer.
It's too tiny to fucking see it anyway.
Yeah, it was just the skirt too. So, yeah, I don't know. By the way, this is another funny one. This one's called an English Raging Area. It was Surging Area in Japanese. I know you do sometimes say, like, the Raging Sea, but I'm kind of surprised they did not go with Surging, because that feels like that would be much... you can't say surging about anything but water, right? Or electricity, I
Yeah.
guess.
So I think it's just hit me like the whole thing of like lost arts. It's not that they're afraid of it; it's that they're just afraid of lawsuits from idiots.
Well, you can't sue
Yeah, no.
about
It
this.
would be
It's
lost
just like
profits.
yeah, it's they were concerned about public backlash, which to be fair in 05 or 06 technically, they would have gotten. I mean, hell, they might still get it now. There's a lot of push to like, apparently in Utah, Pornhub is like statewide blocked out because the state just signed in a very aggressive ID law that you have to prove with government issued ID you're older than 18, or the website gets sued. So what Pornhub did is just like, okay, if you're in Utah and we can tell you're in Utah, you cannot look at Pornhub because we can't ask you to upload your driver's ID every time you go to our website.
Yeah, we are not dealing with this.
So, like, I kind of understand sometimes why Konami is still skittish. I don't think they're anywhere, like, close to that risque, like, 90% of the time. But that kind of slightly puritanical trend in America is still there. So I can understand why they wouldn't want to catch that heat.
Yeah.
But here's Storming Wind. This is one I also like pretty good. Like, it's still a very different art style, which is jarring. But, again, because it's Win, I feel like her lines are a little more, simple and relaxed, and it's good. I also love this effect, this, like, wind effect. It's very well drawn. Somebody had some fun with some Photoshop filters. So, yeah, this is a really interesting concept, but it's definitely the kind of thing that I think that like I said, the original artist looked at these as a concept, like, 15 years later with the alt arts for the Familiar Possessed and was like, bet. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say her face looks bad, like, on an artistic level, but it's because it's a different art style, it's very jarring. Like, everybody has smaller eyes, much more visible noses, and like, different mouth shapes. It's the difference between, like I said, a more mature, realistic-looking style and then the very, like, shoujo manga cover style of the old ones. It's too much of a shift to work, I think.
This almost feels like it's pseudo mocap, oddly enough.
Well, I mean, I've said this before, but I'm almost assured that all of these artists would be drawing from references, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so those
like
were the raging versions, which, again, like I said, nobody has heard of, nobody cares about. They released lost arts of them because, again, all of them had slightly shorter skirts that was too much for the TCG, and they fixed it. So, now it's time for the Link Charmers, which were released in a very odd order. Because our first one is Link Hita. This is Hita, the Fire Charmer, ablaze.
Be enough. It's like the midpoint between her original and Familiar Possessed, considering she's familiar. That or it's entirely different thing, honestly.
Yeah, no, it is still very
not really
recognizably
older.
Hita.
Yeah.
She's still got her sporty short skirt and that thing she's doing with her shirt that I just want to tell her to stop.
She doesn't wear a bra, so she doesn't care.
She'd probably sass you for telling her to stop.
She would, but I would just be like, oh my god, no, seriously, that can't be comfortable. Find a better...
Yeah,
Trust me, you can do so much better.
And
someone told her,
I guess...
hey, you should wear the bra on the inside, and she just went, fuck you.
Kinda, yeah.
I also noticed that, like, one of her stockings is, like, super torn up, but also, like, the bottom of, like, the inside of her cloak is as well. Like,
Yeah,
like,
her
I was
clothes
gonna
torn up.
say, her stockings are torn up in this, so maybe she just has...
She just
you know,
fucking doesn't take care of
I said
herself.
she's... I don't know,
Well,
I don't
it's
know
like the
doesn't
people
take
that
care of
buy the
herself.
ripped
Like,
jeans.
you do not do the literal the bottom button on a shirt, the most inconvenient button. You do not button up the bottom button and wear a belt over that and not care. But, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, she's one of those.
This is a
people that would,
style.
like, buy, yeah,
She
would buy the
is
ripped
deliberately
jeans.
trying to be rebellious, and I believe that's the point because she's all fiery. I like her
Oh,
new
honestly-
little familiar buddy. That's cool.
I've also thought about it, it's like, it's also probably so she doesn't, it's also probably so, like, none of her clothes feel hot on her, I guess.
That may be the intent, yeah, because she's got a
none
lot
of
of
her,
fire
like,
all
main
the time.
heat areas are covered.
So, the only problem I have with this... Where's my boy?
Yeah,
Where's
it's a
Foxfire?
different. He's
I
cute,
think
but he's not
if
Foxfire.
you look between the like wing fin things, tails,
Yeah,
you
it's
can kind of see like maybe that's the face of Inari Fire back there or something.
Well, I
don't
should
know.
bring up, so all of the Link Charmers have a parenthetical text that says this card is always treated as familiar possessed. So
Yay.
So I guess it's just like they're upgraded to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
the
do-
Link versions are all spellcasters. They all have the bottom 2 corner arrows. They're Link 2s. I believe all of them say 2 monster, including a attribute monster, so in this case, a fire. And they're 1850.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe all of them have an effect that is basically similar to target a attribute monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to. Which,
Yep.
by the way, is a great restriction. If only more Link 2s had those fucking lines of text, maybe Sprite Elf wouldn't be in jail right now. Yeah, there's some stuff going on with the staff. Second of all, if this Link summon card is destroyed by battle or destroyed by an opponent's card effect while in its owner's monster zone, add 1 fire monster 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Hita once per turn. So this is very modern card design. They have hops. They have, certain restrictions that will lock them into, like, only being destroyed by your opponent's card effect, etc. But pretty good stuff to go on. And yes, as somebody has brought up, all of these Link Charmers are always going to be good extra deck options so long as you are ever putting attribute monsters on the board, because it lets you add, anybody below a certain stat line to your hand from your deck if they are destroyed, and also has the ability to, get out there and snatch from your opponent, makes it great in mirrors and other stuff like that. And all in all, these cards are very, very useful.
And
I know, for instance, we're not
they'll-
looking at
they'll
her
always
yet.
They'll always be a potential meta call too. Like,
I
Yeah,
know we're not
if-
looking at her just yet, but during the Attribute 4 Festival, I got a lot of mileage out of adding Alsa to my Adamancipator deck. And technically,
Yeah,
I could
I
have
know
added
that-
the other Charmers. I just didn't have the fucking dust because they're all like SRs or URs for a reason.
yeah. I know that for a long time, Area was actually the charmer of choice because you could nab people's Halka-Fibraxes with it.
Yep, you could steal Hulk. Obviously,
Yeah,
like,
when-
the reason why Dark and Lights took so long to come out was because they were so good, but, like, those obviously have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me laugh is just the consistent, all the Charmers have extremely long hair. Like, you could just see the end of the ponytail tied up, just coming
Oh, no,
over hip.
No, that's a
Well,
little
no,
thing
that's
they
a
have.
Little pom-pom
Really?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll
okay.
see it much better in Link Wind's art. You can see it clipped to her belt here. So this is Win the Wind Charmer Verdant. This looks much more like her Gusto incarnation, I think.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well, this would have been after Gusto's.
yeah.
work,
So
right?
I think we had some similarities, but there's some interesting stuff going on here. She's very out there. She's also got her like slightly redesigned familiar, which is some kind of terrifying fairy monstrosity. I'm
Yeah.
scared for my life looking at this creature. It has bat wings and insect wings for ears.
Look at its tiny feetsies.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Look at my little feet. I also want to point out this creature has the same wrist brace on its tail. It's got a chain link broken on its tail.
Oh.
What does it mean? Who the fuck knows?
Hmm.
But yeah, this is just a good redesign of, there. I mean, the little guy doesn't look like a Gusto monster because the Gusto monsters are all birds. Bird.
Bird up.
Well,
And
know,
if you
again,
say
and I
that
think-
Win herself looks like a Gusto monster, jokes on you, she is. As we've discussed, Winda of Gusto is just
Except
Win the
they're
Wind
not,
Charmer.
because I think their bunnies are different colors.
I guess
Yeah,
it
they might
really
be
is meant to
different
be
colors.
Window of Another World.
Yeah, I've heard some people argue that they're supposed to be sisters because like the bunny thing being different, but it's very hard to tell.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
would-
hilarious
that
to
would
think that
involve-
no matter what, this girl is related to fucking Shadow Winda. Get a load of that one, chat.
Yeah.
Think about that shit.
Oh god.
But so you can tell that they're kind of like upscaling their attributes as they go on. The fire one was first, which obviously was really good for Salaman Greats, but has not otherwise brought any fire decks that were not already good to the fore. Wind was our next one. Wind is usually considered bottom rung with fire, though obviously has had some very powerful decks at certain times. Flunderees, for instance, are all water and wind. Very powerful deck.
And one day, maybe Speedroid will get their chance to...
Yeah, Speedroids is a very good rogue budget deck. If you just want to buy Speedroids, you can absolutely clean clocks at locals. It doesn't really have the juice to go over the top, but it's still a very solid deck, especially when, like, all the fucking wind engines, you know, you got Wind Witches and shit like that. And obviously, probably the greatest generic synchro boss of the, you know, the decade is Wind. That's Barone.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
And
Barone.
even, you know, Crystal Dragon is not...
Yeah, Crystal Wing is he was the previous best generic synchro man of the century. So good in so many decks. Stardust obviously is Wind as well.
Mhm.
So there's Wind has good monsters, but does not have necessarily good archetypes. I say this as a Harpy player. Like, some of this Wind shit is a little challenged, y'all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't really have a lot to say about Verdant Wind. She is Wind.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
She is Wind.
Yeah, Zed said in chat, as a Speedroid player, I confirm the deck is cheap. Yes, I believe in the 50-cent episode of Broke Boy, MBT played Speedroids. He was able to afford, like, 6 extra deck monsters. So that should tell you everything you need to know about that deck in terms of
I've tried them
cost.
so many times, and they're just not good enough.
Yeah, that's what I said. They don't. Unfortunately, they lack the power, even with all their fucking support, to go over the top. But they're fun.
But I
and-
believe at the time you did clean our clock a few times with Speed Voice, and of course you did the usual. I don't see what's wrong.
I mean, it was mostly on the back of Crystal Wing, as I gotta say, who himself is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
All right. So next was maybe not their greatest choice, but still makes sense. Ausa Immovable. Earth obviously is usually the third best attribute in the game. No, don't do 500 times me. That's crazy. Do 200. Double it up. This one's a little blurry, but this is you know, Ausa Immovable. She's mostly still Ausa. She's still got her weird crystal rock broom thing. She's still wearing her bike shorts.
I like Alsa the most.
I'm sure chat is, as we speak, typing about how her boobs are still the biggest. I've scoped you out, chat.
I kind of like that she has now the reindeer eater.
Yeah.
It's also got like dark Linus chains on
Look
its
at baby
wings.
Subterror. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
the casual. Yeah.
You and I
Also-
laughed at the exact same
Guys,
comment.
it's got the manacles on it, the base of its wings, though.
Yes, I'm wondering if they're. I assume because they are always treated as familiar possessed. I'm assuming this is meant to be like a new season or sequel series or something. But yeah, so we got some
Maybe it's
interesting
like
things
after
going on
Lina,
here.
something of Lina and Dark.
Yeah.
They're just like, after that whole fiasco, they're like, okay, never again.
Also, hey, by the way, you would absolutely play Immovable Ausa in a Subterror deck. Because, you know, you need something to link climb into Fiendus, who is a Link 3. So there's some funny shit going on here. Oh, that's Earth Channel. Wow. Okay, hold on. When we get to Earth Channeler, that'll be interesting. But yeah, there's some fun stuff here. Again, Ausa is a card that you see a lot because, as I said, Earth is usually like number 3 behind Lights and Darks. Obviously, you know, very popular right now with the last remaining is Shizu's, but there's Naturia and the Vernasylph engine and all kinds of shit like that. So there's quite a lot out there. And then I like the different names we've got going on. Like Hita was Ablaze, Win is Verdant, which has synergy with wood. Ausa is Immovable, making sense, And then Area is Area the Water Charmer Gentle. this one's also a little small, so let me spice this up a little.
Yeah, fair enough.
She looks. Yeah, she's got that wistful look to her.
Yeah. Her hair is, I believe, more. Not that it wasn't always a little washed out, but it is definitely leaning on the pale side in this art.
And I just noticed that so far all of their new guys, familiars have had the chains on them.
Yeah, they got a little chainy do. This one's got it on its back fin. This is a great little weird, its eyes are a little too expressive for its size ratio to be out in a Pokemon, but definitely in the Pokemon neighborhood.
I got a weird theory now.
Yeah.
I wonder if the chain or the manacle is actually a mark, or it's a symbol of mastery or seniority within being the channeler. Because it's like Dyna and Dark Habit, and they're technically, I guess, more like they're seniors. So it's maybe a thing of being
we
like
don't necessarily know for sure. There's definitely some connection stuff going on. I think it's important to note that these chains are explicitly drawn with a link broken. I think if you look at Dark and Lina, theirs ends with like a peg, like they just were undone. Whereas these are clearly snapped off. But still, there's definitely a lot of interesting subtext, and I'm sure if we could, the artist's on Twitter, so I'm sure if
maybe if they ever made a lore book about it.
The Charmers are mentioned in Valuable Book 8, but I think it's just to explain how their name works, because it's Spirit Charmer and Spirit Art, etc. So they like explain the grammar of their names, but I don't actually know if it's out there fully. But yeah, this is area. Gentle. Not necessarily, I think, like a super played card. Okay, yeah, we got some interesting things going on. All right, so here is... it's big, so I'll have to shrink it. But this is Lina Lustrious. It's Lina. She's back. She's wearing her same old getup. I like it. The double belts. Her weird angel egg thing is looking more and more like your very first persona or demon in an SMT game. Like honestly, you get something you find at level 2. I
was more feeling like Digimon.
It is kind of egg shaped, so I could see that. But yeah, it's got like very early gen vibes. So yeah, you can see actually it's a little hard to tell because of the lens flare, but the way her chain ends is
it's not like a ghost fire,
different.
Honestly.
And also, her familiar doesn't have the chain link visible. Interesting.
It's on her.
Yeah, it is on her, but it's it's interesting to look at back. I don't know why, but I do still like that she's just rocking the one glove look. It's pretty cool.
Like she got rid of the arm guard and just had it now, and it's like
she's just the one glove.
Honestly, I've always kind of felt like oh my god, she just has Hita's outfit. If he'd didn't take off half the layers.
No, because she's actually wearing a dress and like a corselet, not like a shirt. I think it might be like she's wearing like a jumpsuit or like a leotard, but that same kind of like single garment tunic. Yeah,
one piece thing. Yeah, it just feels like there's like some kind of intentional thing behind the design of it. I don't know the context to it in some ways.
I mean, I think it's just supposed to be like personality types. Like, Helena seems very, very shiny and upbeat, but also like obviously got some stuff going on with the bandage. Still wearing the arm bandages and the chain link.
Yeah, she's actually. Oh, that's what it was. She has more bandages along her arm. It actually goes further down.
Yes, I think they actually drew it further down, which is interesting because her last time was actually quite small.
It's getting worse.
So there's some interesting things going on there. Well, if she can't get the chain link off, it probably chafes a lot.
Well, it looks like it's not on their type. It looks like you can't get it off, I guess.
I mean, if it's loosey-goosey, and actually it looks kind of weathered now. It's probably a little... You'd want to do something like, if it can rattle up and down your forearm like that, you'd want to make sure. But yeah, I remember when she was first announced, people were super hyped for Lina. She's got a Starlight Rare, and people were very excited. I don't actually see her in a lot of deck lists, because I think that the game has leaned a little away from light decks since she came out, but I could totally see people playing her. Whereas our next boy, Dark Gloomy, absolutely is in loads of decks. I see him recommended in a lot of deck lists. And it's very interesting. So let me pull it up. Yeah, he's big again. And this is somebody I got a DeviantArt. But here is Dark Gloomy. And yeah, he is a gloomy boy. He's still got his big, deep, dark circles, kind of his 1,000-yard stare. His cloak is still pretty beat up and stitched. I don't know if you could see his legs before, so now you can see that he's got bandages around like his all the way up his legs as well.
I got the vibe that it feels like he's being experimented on or something.
He looks like his little familiar is a tiny, weird, like red eyes.
Yeah, he's got a little dragon man. Love that. He also
actually
has the chain link pointing, but notice that both his and Linus point in the same direction. They both point off the left side of the
is
card.
Dark missing his right arm?
Yeah, actually.
I would not say for sure he is. You can't tell.
Maybe his hand.
He just has like his cloak is down, so he could just have his arm hanging down. But it is also possible.
You know, I just had a weird thing going on of I could see the weird thing of like if there was a Charmer storyline of how Dark is basically he's a slave summoner for some kind of thing, and Lina got free, so he's basically forced to go get her back, and it's the Charmer just trying to deal with the siblings having a fucking mess in the life.
Okay. You know what this guy reminds me of? The guy who gets mind controlled by Hypno Sister.
Also that too, yeah.
Yeah, Respell.
Yeah,
Similar
just
art styles.
very similar.
So let's move on to our channelers, who are the newest. This is our first Win the Wind channeler.
It's been a few years. She's like, I guess,
Magical girl.
She's now like a third year.
We've finally gone through the proper costume change. This was in 2020, by the way.
They got both.
Yeah, she has both familiars.
Look
her
how
outfit-
happy that guy in the bottom right is.
Yeah, Ranryu is very happy.
Or now,
I'm
I guess
back.
I can see the bit of like this is now after the second time skip.
You can see her. She's got her little rabbit riding in her hood. It's fucking adorable. Look at him.
She looks like she
yeah.
looks determined and ready to face whatever.
Yeah. But definitely an outfit change. Like her cloak is white now. You can see a much bigger version of like the weird like spirit possessed text on her, like the underside of her cloak. Different like shirt outfit. Got some more green in there. Like got
her
like double
summoning seal
poofs.
around her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
because
wouldn't
she's got
say
two familiars,
great
she's got two
performance,
poofs.
but she looks like she's got like extra cloth on her.
Yeah,
feet,
that's
like-
something she had in some of her earlier versions, but this is definitely slightly different.
She got the ice trap.
Yeah. That's where she keeps
Yeah.
her gat.
Look,
But yeah,
Japan.
different looks. So,
And the chain on the bunny.
yeah.
And that's flying.
Yeah, it's on his tail. So the channelers are a little bit different. First of all, they are always treated as charmer cards. Even though they have the stat lines of a familiar possessed, they are level... I think they're all level 5. Let me double check. But the... yeah, I think they're all level 5.
Are we gonna talk about... Sorry to interrupt. Are we gonna talk about the honorary charmers? Some of the fairy tales?
No, we've already got enough cards to talk about, but I did mention way earlier that because of the way the charmers are, they are often tied to stat lines, so you can actually like grab a lot of fairy tales off there. This is probably why Charmer Kaiju is a deck build, because you can play Luna and then do Luna Kaiju shit. Get your Kaijus back. So the channelers are level 5, indicates, the extra experience. They have the 1850, 1500 stat line of a familiar possessed. They are always treated as a charmer card. And then I believe they all have variants on this effect, which is you can discard this card and one other wind monster, add a wind monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, except channeler. You can't activate for the rest of this turn except wind monster. When a wind monster you control is destroyed by battle and this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So when your wind monsters are destroyed, she can summon herself. She can also pitch to search, but that wind locks you. So that kind of, like, makes it so, you can't really play them in the hybrid deck. But they are very interesting. Also, it seems like they alternate, because Ausa is the attack stat, the 1850, but Hita, and Hita is different. Okay, so they're all different discard effects. Hita is add a fire monster with attack, higher attack than the one you discarded. So they all have slightly different tools.
Honestly, I feel like that kind of fit to how they are as characters, weirdly enough.
Yeah, Hita is something that's always stronger. Ausa is still the 1850 stat line. Win is the defense stat line. I suspect Area will probably be, whenever we get that, again, it'll probably be like 2024 or 2025 before you see the Channeler area at this rate. But she will probably be something that is defense-based like Win, but is like higher or lower or something.
Waiting for our boy Dark Channeler.
If we do actually get light and dark channelers, that would probably answer a lot about our questions, because obviously, much like the Link versions, this is clearly a different effect. But yeah, no, these seem like Konami is returning to form. They are trying to produce generic attribute support for these attributes based on the Charmers. This is, again, probably why they are doing it slowly, and they did not immediately start with Dark and
I honestly see it as like, this is them as like, they're now upperclassmen, or they finally have gone on their own as full-blown summoner mages wandering the world.
They're kind of doing their own stuff, yeah.
They've become adults now. They now have like their own array of summons and everything.
Adults / young adults. It's hard to tell.
It's
They've
still,
become enough
they're
to
still
go
very
on their own.
cutesy. This is still the same artist who draws trap
Yeah, but
tricks.
she doesn't seem like a child.
I do. Sorry, I know it's probably mentioned first. I do appreciate the end of the staff looking like the first familiar guy.
Yeah.
Also, I just noticed there's like a key hanging from her necklace.
Oh yeah, she's got a little necklace. And I think they
Key to the
have
manacle, I guess.
slightly different aspects of that as well.
Maybe
But
she has like a small like tome hanging from like the straps too. Can't tell.
no, she's got a jar full of crystals. You can see it a lot better on Channeler Ausa. You can also see a lot of other things about Channeler Ausa. Talking about looking more mature.
The acorn!
Yeah, he's still got the acorn. He's so fucking happy. Look how fucking adorable that is. She's got more
It just
crystals in her
means
staff, too.
Honestly, I'm getting is like, she's improved the crystals, and honestly, that just means that's the form it has when she's not in combat. Honestly,
Probably.
I love these two little guys. Look at them.
Yeah, but look at her. Look at her. She's got her two little guys. She's got an improved staff.
so did the Link
She's
monsters
got
not
the,
have keys? Did the Link monsters not have keys?
I
Did
don't
they?
think they did. We did not notice
Because
them. Let me
I
grab
feel
a
like the
card
keys
over.
might be like, I guess, how they got their second summons or something.
Well, I think they're just not doing the possess equip mode as well.
Oh,
Also, yes, guys, she has sweater puppies.
I haven't heard that in fucking forever.
Let's see. It doesn't look like Link Ausa has a key, but it's hard to tell. Fucking angles. I think Heath is a front on. Yeah, no, she's not. Heath is definitely not
Can
wearing
you
a lesson.
imagine? She's not actually big-breasted. It's just when she stores the acorns to give. To the
That's
familiars.
funny, but no, I don't think that's
She
what
has a
we're
pouch
going
for that.
Yeah.
though.
Just,
But yeah, no, this is still, really good designs and variants here. We're and I do like that she does. They are doing a good job of, not just with Win, but with all of them looking older. There's good details here. Like, I wasn't thinking about her work gloves before, but she's got sturdy gloves, She looks like she's got extra pouches of little crystals.
Like
and
she's like
stuff.
she's always been the steadiest one.
Well, and I mean, I think you saw that with her Link version, which is called Immovable. Like,
Yeah.
those are
Stubborn.
like, Dark is gloomy, duh. Area is gentle, Hita is ablaze, Win is verdant, Line is lustrous, Ausa immovable.
She's also the
well,
one
I-
that's trying stubborn. Like, I'm going to that cave. I'm getting that crystal. You can't.
I can
stop me."
understand why Doc is gloomy, because he's like, okay, time to see all my fellow charmers. Like, I'm the only guy here. Shit.
And one of them
Yes.
might be my sister.
I have no one to talk to.
And then
No
let's see
one
if
to
anybody
relate
has
with.
done.
You're right,
Yeah,
they're
I
okay.
can't hit on any of them. They don't show interest in me.
So,
That's
awesome.
this is our final one, our newest one. This is Hita, the Fire Channeler.
So, I feel like this point that Hita has always been the very slender one. I feel like this just kind of cements that. Also, she's like.
I mean,
literally-
she's a little. I would say she seems a little more bottom heavy because they're still drawing her with slightly thicker thighs.
She's got thick thighs, but yeah, it's like she's got like
She
nothing
looks-
up. She's got nothing up top.
She's
She
the
looks
she's the
more-
fire one. She's the sporty one.
So,
looks more bratty in
incoming
this
flying
image.
object at Axe's head in 5 seconds.
What?
Oh my god, if you actually look closely, they put the little bit at the top of her lip to make it look like she got the fang.
Yeah, she's got the little cute
Yeah.
fang.
She has become
she-
the adult brat. Yeah.
She'd have the thing, yeah.
Also,
I,
yes,
you know,
of course, my boy.
slightly differently drawn like cloak that is kind of attached together and off her shoulders, kind of going back to something Axe was talking about,
She's-
where she like needs to be ventilated because she's constantly surrounded by fire. So she's got
Honestly,
like bare shoulders.
She's ditched honestly the cloak, and she's just got like cloth van braces and some like thigh straps, and then just kind of.
No,
added
she's got a
bits
mantle on, but it's different because you can see it's
She
like
added to like
stitched
she added
together
to like her basically her bra.
there. Yeah, and she's got like
also-
you said, the arm guards.
But also, in addition to it looking ventilated, it also looks heavy, which does help with actual, like, flame protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's made of sturdy material. She's got kind of the weird hip guard. Her skirt is like asymmetric now, but she's got like leather garter straps to reinforce her
I
ripped.
just noticed she's also made her
stockings.
shirt she's also made her shirt shoulderless now.
Yeah. She's wearing a different
Yeah.
different top and a different belt.
Bit of
also
a,
feels there you go.
it's a small detail. I love just the fire trailing from the staff to Foxfire. I don't know why.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
it's-
like
it's-
yay.
They got some cute effects. It makes me very
Yeah.
eager to see what they do for area, and I sincerely hope that we get a Dark and Lina in this style as well. But yeah, she also has
I'm
a
also
key, but
hoping
it's a
for-
slightly different key.
Oh my
I'm
god,
also
you know what
hoping
this
for.
means?
Go.
We with the Liner channeler, we get what was the first?
Happy
first
Lover.
Familiar? Yeah, we get Happy Lover in HD.
Honestly, I really want like the sealed familiar, like the sealed familiars, like the basically like all the locked ones. I'd like those to be cards.
Yeah, that would be good,
Yeah.
especially because I don't think the other ones are going anywhere. But now I am
feel like
going
the
to
name would be-
assemble a
you think-
collage of all of the normal monsters that these girls have as their familiars.
Yeah.
So please hold.
Do you
the-
think the
and
name
the-
of them would
and the
be like
one
sealed
effect
familiar or
monster.
like what or forbidden familiar?
I don't
or
know.
something?
I don't think it'd be forbidden. I don't think there's any indication they're forbidden.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's the Marmot.
Marmot.
It loves its acorns.
Archfiend
Oh,
Marmot
oh
of
shit! You've caught me at a
nefariousness.
bad time.
Damon the Beaver.
POV, you're Asa taming this weird being you found in a bush.
And she's just like, fucking what?
Why
So-
does this beaver have a long ass tail, a unicorn horn, and bat wing?
I think
I
that's why
must
they
have
decided.
it.
I think that's why in English they decided to call it Marmot, because they're like, it's not a fucking beaver.
God, I can image this scene of being like, it's angled where Asa's just like, I'm just gonna get rid of it. It's like, oh wait, but no, it turns out like her like glasses are like lighted over. It's like, no, I must have this weird abomination for myself.
Hey Loth, it's your boy Foxfire.
Yeah.
It looks like he's trying to sneak away from like Hita. It's like, I kind of like the bit of
Yeah.
like.
No, the Foxfire art is so stupid. He's like, ah shit, you've caught me.
Well, that's
I
2
like
for
the
2
idea
on
it's
the other
like-
shit you caught me.
Kind of like the idea. It's like all of the perspective is like the Charmers trying to obtain these things.
That is definitely not what the intention was, but it is funny. And I will say, there's a slight difference because this is Gigabyte, and he's just happy to
Yeah.
be here, baby.
No, he's
Fuck
clearly
yeah.
going up to punch Arya.
Fist bump.
Probably found him after him doing like the whole law of the normal stuff. Or triangle power.
Oh yeah, he was in that.
Yeah, he got used in a lot of stuff, I think.
Oh yeah, he's
because
Gigo.
What other water monster are you
I
getting
can't
used for?
quite remember if he was also involved in the fight against Impachi at some point.
Maybe he
I
was.
think
There's
he
Happy
was,
Lover.
actually. I vaguely
Yeah.
remember him coming up when I was watching the Inpachi lore video.
And like I said, except for Foxfire, all of these are just rando vanillas. They're all low level though, at least. There's Metabat.
Basically, all tiny things that like mages could capture as familiars.
Yeah, you know, little familiar boys.
Again, my favorite fire card being the only effect monster.
Yeah.
Represent.
And I don't know if it's just
Omega
because
does- yeah.
Fire didn't have like a little tiny guy.
I mean, I
And
was
then
developing a
Petite
thing, like,
Dragon.
this makes you think of like fucking Leona with like having a familiar. It's like, you know, you have to look for tiny things that will obey you. Honestly, is the thing.
That's true. You gotta start
Look
small.
Sorry, I forgot how fucking happy the wind one is.
The
Yeah, Petite Dragon is fucking happy. Oh, by the way, so I'm not gonna read all of these guys. Well, I might read all of their flavor text. How long have you been going? Not quite 2 hours. Wait, no. Yeah,
Almost
yeah,
2
not
hours.
quite 2 hours.
Like 2 minutes.
So maybe I can, but like I have to read you Petite Dragons no matter what, just because. Get a load of this. Old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Memento. A very small dragon known for its vicious attacks. Level 2, 600
Attacks
attack.
At what, yeah, I was gonna say at what 500 attack.
With the way its mouth is open and you see like no teeth or anything, it's just I'm picturing Muppet like mop.
Where
Honestly,
is,
I think the Marmot is the strongest of these.
Yeah, Gigo Bite is 350. He's a level 1. He has a tranquil soul, but carries a destiny that one day his heart shall be tainted by evil.
I mean, this was basically the prequel card.
Happy Lover is a level 2 fairy with 800 attack, oddly enough. Enemies
wow.
become overjoyed when struck by the heart ray emitted from the forehead of this tiny cherub.
God, I'm imagining Lina holding it like a fucking
Oh.
spear and beating people with it.
You said chair,
Archfiends,
I heard tiny chair.
it's because I did misspoke. Demon Beaver is an air marmot that has a nefarious horn and wings. It attacks by throwing acorns, 400 attack. By the way, it's called Damon Beaver. It's a beast, by the way. It's not even a fiend.
Honestly, guys, I now imaged the dumb bit of also get randomly hit by an acorn from a bush and found this thing.
Wow, Metabat's name in Japanese is really silly. Dark Napoleon.
What? That doesn't mean anything. That's just gibberish.
Yeah, Metabat, way better translation. He's a dark level 2 fiend, also 800 attack. An eyeball fiend created by a servant of the wicked. It uses dark blasts to blow away its enemies. Dark blasts, by the way, in square quotes.
Fuck, of course.
So, yeah, the familiars are weird. But they do have ranked up versions. 2 ranked up versions, technically, but one of them is not actually like attributed, which is our first set. So we'll start with Inari Fire, which is just called Inari Fire, Inari B. So this is Inari Fire. Make it smaller as usual.
Which,
Foxfire
this
doesn't
one-
have flavor text because
Yeah,
it's
it
a
is an
fucking
effects text.
monster.
What I can tell you what Foxfire does. It is funny. It's a level 2 Pyro. During the end phase of this card, was destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard this turn. And it was face up at the start of the damage step. Special summon it. This card can't be tributed for a tribute summon. So it's just a card that keeps coming back. Honestly, if it was
I love
released,
him.
these days, it might be a. I mean, it's destroyed by battle, so it wouldn't work as an illusion monster. But it's very much in that wheelhouse of like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the enhanced versions of the familiars, so the Wikipedia refers to them as the unpossessed familiars.
I think because they're referred to by the text of Unpossessed.
Yes, the card Unpossessed does reference them, but it's very funny that that's our nomenclature. This is Inari Fire.
Okay.
Good.
Zed was asking for the effect text.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then you can have that text. Inari Fire is a level 4 Pyro, 1500 attack, 200 defense. You can only control 1 Inari Fire. If you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, during your next standby phase, after this face-up card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon it. So,
Yes!
Yeah, Inari Fire is just the juiced-up version. It is a free special if you control a spellcaster, and it gets itself back if destroyed by card effect.
Sorry for how loud I
And-
got. I'm waiting for it. It has to keep a graveyard recursion effect of some kind.
Yeah,
It has
and
to.
I think it also. What was its attack value again?
I think they're all 1500.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which is respectable. That's an all right attack.
Well, and
It's
you
also
can. They synergize with their spellcaster form, so you can do stuff.
yeah. You can special summon him from hand if you got a spellcaster.
Yeah, so it's a free
I'm
special.
assuming they all do that, but yeah.
I assume actually. Let me double check when these guys
I
are
think
starting
they
to get
do all
printed.
do that.
So
Oh,
this was
Jesus.
in. Hey, Gigabyte. Let me put him actually on screen. Sorry, I left him off. Gigabyte here is from Secrets of Eternity.
So this is how I became Gakugo, but happier, I guess.
Something like that.
I guess it's electrically aligned.
Inati Fire was Cosmo Blazer. So these guys were like in the tail end of the Xyz era and starting to get into the Pendulum era. I assume that's why they're all... Oh, wow, okay. Ranryu came out way later. Fuck. This guy's from 2019.
I was gonna say,
It took him a while to do
you.
some of this shit. But I
Honestly-
think the intent was to allow you to turn Charmers into a rank 4 strat. Now what you use them for is the fact that they're free specials off your spellcasters means they are auto-link versions.
Honestly, looking at this feels like if Gakugo was less humanoid and more just like an actual like lizard person.
Yeah, kind of.
Like,
He's also
more direct,
sparking.
like more monstrous as well because it's more,
He's
more
jigging.
spikes.
Same stats, but he's a water reptile. You can only control 1 Gigabyte. If you have a spellcaster, you can special him. When this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon a monster with 1500 attack and 200 defense from your deck, except Gigabyte. So Gigabyte fetches another boy. And then we have our next the card that is referred to as just Demon Eater, not Demon Beaver, but is Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness.
Still the silliest name of all these.
Behold his nefariousness. Look how nefarious he is.
That is actually.
He is very nefarious. He's eating.
That is actually frightening.
He's using something's skull as an acorn. Eat.
By the way, this is technically... I guess you would call this censored. The OCG version shows his big buck teeth making that crack in the skull.
Yeah,
so creepy.
I can see where that would be at.
Also, he's also got a face only Asa would love.
Yeah. He's still a beast, by the way. You can only control 1 Nefariousness. You can special him. Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, if this card's in your graveyard, target a face-up monster you control, destroy it, and special summon this card. So it recycles itself, and it destroys a monster you control, which means you can use some of your other unpossessed familiars effects. For instance, if this card's in your graveyard during your opponent's turn, you could blow up your Gigabyte and summon.
Or your Inari Fire.
And have it special summon back. Yeah, like it's it's a weird extended
Dallas is
fire.
like- It's been
He
like a
lives.
week. It's been 9 days. He's alive.
Yeah. I mean, Dallas is logging in. I've seen him online. Now Dallas has to fight his mic setup though that he hasn't used in 9 days.
Yeah.
Am I done? Is it? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
We can hear
All
you.
right, there we go.
It just sounds like your mic is not
Join us
elevated.
at the very end.
No. Don't say that.
Oh, we still
Don't
have
say
more to
that.
go.
We got a little bit of work to do. There's a few spell and traps to talk about, and also
Yeah.
remember there's 3 tiers of familiars.
What are we doing
Oh,
again?
yeah, there's.
Oh,
Charmers.
It's on the
Yeah.
screen.
I'm not on the stream yet, dude. I just logged on.
He's working. All right, so
Also, I appreciate your keeping track of my health via my FGO login.
I mean, you don't communicate with us at all. So what else do we
that's
do?
not true. That's not quite
That's
true.
not true. I very much told you I would not be.
Yeah,
available.
the day of, he was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I'm like, okay, tell me if you change plans, otherwise we'll figure out stuff.
Yeah.
He did not tell
Yeah,
me.
I-
So
I-
I don't think I have ever. I will be a little proud of myself. I don't think I've ever missed a session without informing someone.
yeah,
was
sometimes
one
it's a little
No, that's
closer.
not
but-
true. There was one time I was so sick I could not actually physically get up out of my bed.
Yes, but because you're usually very, very prompt about telling us when you're not going to be there, we all assumed you were like, okay, so Dallas is dying somewhere. Got it.
Yeah, and I was.
Yeah.
I think that was the one time I had COVID, which I speed rammed somehow.
What about like bronchitis, where you didn't message us till like the day after?
It might be the
No, I
bronchitis.
messaged you the day of.
Anyway, I don't remember. We're on talking about Ranryu right now, which means just Storm Dragon. So this is Petite Dragon, juiced up. This guy looks like he has a fierce attack.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's very fluffy. I like him.
I want to hug him.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Dallas.
Your dog snake.
Good. Same thing.
I mean, Win uses him as like a feather boa, so you know he's comfy.
you think it can be a good makeshift bed?
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Ranryu is also another card you could pop with Marmot because its effect is you can special if it's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, target a monster with 1500 attack and 200 defense in your graveyard except Ranryu, special summon it. So
this might be a hot take, as I see in the chat. They're I think the ugliest and creepiest of the Charmer pets is Marmot. I don't like the way that thing's eyes look.
Yeah, I know. I think at least we on the panel, we in the Brain Trust are in general agreement. That Marmot do be nefarious. All right. So now we enter the latest phase of the dumb names. It's time for Awakening of the Possessed, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm just hearing the Pillarman theme in my head.
So these cards all started coming out in 2020. A lot of them were released as, like, extra cards in Dragons of Legend as, like, secret rare promos, and then were printed in core sets like Phantom Rage. But, you know, they're very weird. So let me grab our first one because it's this guy.
Look, I'm not gonna say I hate him. I'm just saying I wouldn't trust him alone with kids.
I mean, the powered up version of him, he's eating a skull. So
Yeah, no.
Also,
like
can't
we
really.
said,
He's also like awesome and like part of that.
he do be nefarious though.
all right, so
Those
it's a
don't.
little bit of a tiny image, I think, but
Also, I genuinely don't remember what the Fire Familiar is at all.
it's Foxfire, baby.
Right, Foxfire, okay.
You probably
Level two
didn't
effect
put it that
monster.
way in your brain because he's not a weird vanilla. So this is Awakening of the Possessed, Gigobite. This is 110% Area is beating you up with the power of her stand.
Okay, yeah, no, I was joking about
Okay.
the Pillarman theme earlier, but now it just really just
Okay,
is.
it's finally hit me. This is basically this is basically the alternate evolution line of Gagagigo because he's electric water instead.
I mean, yes, I do believe somebody has actually made that diagram before, funnily enough. But yeah, no, this is why I think he was Gigobite before. But so the Awakening of the Possessed forms they're level 5. I'm gonna assume they probably have 2K 200 stat lines if I'm looking at Gigobite, but I don't know for sure yet. Yeah, there's an area in the background. So these are actually, I think, like alternate takes on the Possessed versions, hence the name Awakening of the Possessed. So this is like the step up from that. Art-wise, it's a pretty dynamic pose. I like the water and lightning effects.
No, this is really good.
Yeah. I mean, this artist is really good. I know that exactly MBT because he's really good at making the most bland takes on the internet and just repeating them over and over again because people bite the bait. But there was a lot of discussion about Trap Tricks a while ago. This is, again, the same artist who draws Trap Tricks, draws Charmers. She's really good. I think that, like, some of the art design of the Trap Tricks is intentional.
Wait,
But
MBT makes bland takes?
I mean, he has hot takes, but also he does have some of the most milquetoast takes ever.
I don't think he has
I
that
think
many
he's the most
hot takes.
person.
It's just that he, like I said, MBT has that repetition style of humor, and people fall for it. Like, this is where the Secrets of Eternity bit comes from, where he just... I was there. I was on stream.
did it
He
8
just got a
times.
bee in his bonnet. It was more than 8. He got a bee in his bonnet. It's just somebody was like, "Oh, I didn't catch the intro." So some people bit and like, "Oh, I didn't catch the intro," and other people were like, "No, stop." So he just did it like 10 times. And now I think he regrets it because he can't say shit about Secrets of Eternity without somebody doing the
Twitter
entire
that he got
copy
like
pasta.
that, like in the Discord people gave him the copy pasta like 20 times in like 10 minutes.
It's his own fault.
I fully approve of bullying chat.
I mean, you can bully chat, but as we say to our own chat, but chat gets to bully back.
Have you seen the modern anime trends? They want you to bully them.
Oh, possible.
I don't think so because you also don't want to like.
But, like,
develop
like I
a
said-
group of, you don't want a group of a bunch of like rabble rousers.
Well, that's how you defeat the rabble rousers. You bully them. But no, like I
So,
said,
put a
I
bullshit
think
on
that
this.
MBT does do these kind of weird takes to like people just keep talking about, and then he just lets you dig yourself deeper. But anyway,
as a semi-professional internet troll, the rabble-rouser shitsters are the exact kind of people that hate getting bullied.
Yeah.
So, this is not fail portrayal MBT. Back to
No.
the...
Though maybe by shit-talking MBT, he will watch my video and then 10 billion people will see it. Not actually
Well,
true.
I get big.
I almost made a joke.
You
I
almost made the joke,
that
but it
might have
doesn't
gotten
even
this
it doesn't
YouTube
work.
demonetized.
The Gaglaglabite, it's a level 5 water reptile, 2k attack, 200 defense, like I said. You can special summon this card from your hand or deck by sending a face-up spellcaster and a face-up level 4 or lower water monster you control to the graveyard. So this is a kind of retrain on the Familiar Possessed effect. And this one you may actually pull off because it allows you to have 2 Charmers. If one of them is water and one of them is not, you can do it.
Sorry, just someone in chat. Well, I'm not getting paid.
Well, that's Dallas. Somebody was like semi-professional. He says, "Yeah, it's because when you super chat to yell at Dallas, Dallas doesn't technically get a cut of that because it would be so
I don't get
infinitesimal."
money to be a troll. These are my. I got an entire subreddit at me to. Not to get too cited. I got an entire subreddit to hate me this morning. Again.
Oh,
Of
what
course
did you
Oh,
do?
so
this
that's where most of your
time?
time fucking goes.
To be
Okay.
fair, it is easy mode because it is the Fire Emblem subreddit. So like,
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to the Fire Emblem subreddit because I've heard stories. It sounds like you could make it. They could get mad about anything. Anyway, there are some effects we should bring up about this guy. So, he has 2 effects which can only be used once per turn. When this card is special summoned, send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. Then each player draws 1 card. Because it's based on spiritual water art. We'll talk about that.
Yay.
If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add a spiritual water art card or 1 possessed spell trap from your deck to your hand. I assume that must mean in Japanese the intent is actually to only search water art, because technically the way those traps are written, they are grammatically phrased so that the spiritual art part is all one word. But I assume that must mean that the OCG actually only lets you search the water card with Gagigo Bite, as opposed to them making it an archetype. Again, continuing the fucking weird bullshit of names these poor cards have. So yeah, Gagigo Bite can be summoned from your deck by sacking a spellcaster and a level 4 or lower water to your deck, and it lets you do a hand rip when you do that, though each player does get to draw. But this means you get to draw as well, so you get to go up 1. You're at a net +0. And who knows, maybe they needed that card. And it lets you
hand
get
ripping
it.
Hand ripping is always hard to balance properly because you either make it's not.
I mean,
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not like
basically,
Magic, where there is a resource loop, so it's either insanely overpowered or borderline useless.
and I will bring this up at least. This is basically like a slightly more card neutral, like Dark World dealing, right? Like it's the other way around. Your opponent randomly pitches and then draws 1, but still, like it's not necessarily the worst card considering that Dark World dealing is in there.
It's not bad because it does it to you too. If it only did it to your opponent.
Well, no. You don't lose a card. It's you randomly discard from your opponent, but you get to draw. The problem is that
Sorry, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It gives you resources.
yeah,
too.
it get
So that's why. It's
But
good.
remember, you have to go -1 to summon Gagigo Bite anyway because you have to sack 2 monsters. So
Yep.
at the
That's
very
true,
least, you
but
can
it
summon him
is
from deck. So
synergistic
like
in
it works
the
out. This is Awakening of the Possessed, Great Arianati Fire, Oh Yanaribi, Big
this
Inari
is,
Fire.
Yeah, this is a good art.
He big.
It's a good art, but I
Bad.
hate this style of dog drawing.
Well, it's a fox, so
All right, Omega. I'm not gonna. Foxes are dogs. They're Canis. They're genus Canis. When I say dog anatomically, that foxes are included. But
I mean,
yeah,
yes,
no,
but
this
there's anyway.
this whole like the teeth face section is not my favorite, but other than that, it's fine.
I mean, I think it is supposed to be stylized like certain styles of Japanese art. Maybe not as much as like a punk, for instance. But
Look,
No,
Dallas, don't worry, because he goes like this, and then eventually, as we saw with the channelers, he goes back to being a cute little fox. It's fine.
no, I understand. My problem is how big the mouth is.
I mean, he's
I
got a
just
big
don't
Inari
like that
grin.
art
He's got a big chomper. You can also see little Hida chilling in the back, like giving a hayat. Yes, they are all 2K 200. Okay, so Greater Inari Fire is a pyro, has those same stats. You can special summon it by doing the thing, but with the fire monster, you can only use each effect of it once per turn. When this card is special summoned, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of one monster they control. Your choice. It burns. It does not destroy, but it does burn. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add a spiritual fire art or a possessed spell trap from your deck to your hand.
Which, hey, guess what? Spiritual Fire Art also burns.
Yes. Spiritual Fire Art, I believe, sacks one of your monsters to do damage, but yeah, one of your fire monsters.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
by the way, hey, a great synergy there if you can make it work. Like, if you link this guy off or something into the Fire Charmer, you can, do the link one. You can do some weird shit. I think the naming of this poor boy continues to be ludicrous in all forms, but his card art gets even more extra. It's time for Awakening of the Possessed. Oh, he's really big. Hold on. I gotta make this much smaller. Let me make sure it's framed up.
Oh my god.
Awakening of the Possessed. Nefarious Sir Archfiend.
Sorry, just when you had the glow up the giant picture, we just see the tiny low detailed ass.
Yeah, with the no detail on her face, it almost looks like she's got a headset on.
I've noticed that. I've just noticed
Well,
that.
it also looked like. Did I just summon that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I was
be honest,
literally, like-
this is probably my...
Good.
Oh, good.
I just Archfiend's riding the crystal from her staff.
Yeah.
There's probably my favorite art of Archfiend Marmot.
It's pretty rad. So in Japanese, this is it was Daemon Beaver, Daemon Eater, Daemon Reaper. Nefarious Sir Archfiend. He continues to be nefarious, and he's still an Earth Beast. But he's on his way to fuck your shit up with his giant blade horn.
Yep.
So
And they took away his crystal. His acorn, so he's on a crystal.
yeah, he's
And
writing
he
out
no
the
longer
crystal.
looks like he has brain damage.
Correct.
I was gonna say, are we sure he's Earth?
Yes, he is. He is Earth.
You can be an Earth Fiend.
Yeah,
Well,
because
no.
I'm sorry, if you
Lots of
look at
Earthies.
Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness, he has something wrong with him.
Yeah, we had him up earlier. He is very derpy old school cards. Okay, so this one's two effects are when this card is special summoned by its effect, special summon a level 4 or lower Earth monster from your graveyard but negate its effects. And then if it's sent to the field, add a spiritual Earth art or possessed. So again, continuing the trend of just kind of remixing their original effects of the spiritual arts, but also giving you a big boy because he's a 2K attacker.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a question,
Okay.
Rebecca,
Yeah, what's up?
regarding what we've gone over. Are we counting the cataclysms as part of the archetype?
I did already talk about them, yes, because I think it was important to show them, even though, as you said, they are not interactable with any of the Actually, no, they have the same stat line. They're still 800 to 1500, so they're still... You can still use them as Charmers. They're spellcasters, but they were printed, like, twice, and nobody has ever heard of them since 2007. Because they're bad.
Yeah.
They're bad cards.
They're bad cards. The art is.
Well, okay,
weird.
can I bring up a... So, these cards are meta-defining in Duel Links.
In Duel Links, okay.
Yeah. Well,
The-
specifically Calcifida is.
Oh,
I-
you're talking.
I
Okay,
don't
you're
think
talking
I've
about
seen the
something
other
else
three
that's
play.
different. I thought you were talking about the
No.
Cataclysmic Charmers. Avalanching Elsa, Blazing Heat, Raging. Yeah, Storming
No,
Light.
I'm talking about the Cataclysmics, which are also related to the Charmers. Calciphadia, Scorchburner, Chilbania, and Koldo.
I mean, I don't
have no
think
idea
they're
what those are.
associated with them at all. They're fairy monsters with
They have
different
the Charmer
attributes.
symbols on their card art.
Charmers don't have a symbol.
Sorry, they have the Link Charmer symbols on them.
the Link Charmers don't have a symbol.
What the fuck is this talking about? Hold on.
Yeah, if you're getting
Oh,
wiki
I do
information,
I
I'm looking at these card arts. I don't even see the symbols.
Yeah.
The most consistent like aesthetic thing the Charmers have is they have like a little white, poofy thing attached to their belts. But I don't actually like see any outright association with them.
Oh man, I just realized. Sorry.
Oh my god. Sorry. I got tricked by the wiki again, but
Let me guess. You were like looking at something and they did that thing where they put a giant chart of all the monsters that are fire, wind, earth, and water.
no. This is slightly more than that. Slightly. Basically, they debuted in the same set as the Link Charmers.
Ah. Well, the first
and
Link Charmer.
also, they each have a square in the top corner of their artwork that corresponds to the Link arrow of each Charmer of the same element of that.
I mean, yes,
all
but
of the
no.
Link Charmers are back, are both your back
Also, I'm just looking at it. Cryonic Koldo doesn't look like he has a square.
Look, I'm just saying what the wiki said.
Yeah,
That's just-
and that's why we don't trust that wiki.
And we can
Yeah.
safely say that the wiki is wrong.
Technically, yes, Cataclysmic Scorching Sunburner has one square in his top corner, which would correspond with where, Hita, who was the one that came out in Savage Strike, I think, her slot. But, like, Cheerful Calcigrula has two. Actually, he has four. He has one in each corner, so it doesn't work. Anyway, where was I? Right. We were moving away from Reaper because I was going to show you guys Awakening of the Possessed, Rasen Ryu. And you can see, not quite on screen yet, but I'll get it in there. But you can see Win throwing him like a fastball.
Hey, it's Falcor!
Yeah, Rasen Ryu is very Falcor-esque now, but she's
It-
fucking...
it-
I know
yeah.
she's got her staff in her hand, but it looks like she's fucking pitching him like a fastball. Or, alternatively, she has finally upgraded the Rasengan to its final form, and she can throw them. Because he's Rasen Ryu, you know?
I don't think that's the final form anymore.
I mean, this
love,
this is his final form. He doesn't get any bigger.
I love
just have
just the idea she throws him fastball special, like, and as he's flying through the air, he's still twirling, just yeah.
Well, he is called...
Honestly-
that Rasen is in Spiral Dragon, so, yeah.
I'm just enjoying the. I'm enjoying the dumb thing about imaging. Of Win like having to practice her fucking fastball special throw to do this.
So the Charmers need to be arrested for animal abuse, is what I'm saying. What I'm hearing.
Nah, he loves it. He's a small dragon with a fierce attack. So it's a wind dragon, level 5 as usual.
Become like a Kieran. I'll say that.
Maybe not really.
His,
no. He has two
his
horns.
horns and fangs looked a bit fucked
Don't
up. not
Kierans
gonna
have
lie.
legs?
Yes.
I'm not saying he's becoming not at least like a Kieran, not a purely a Kieran.
No, he's just a dragon with spiral horns.
He just has a horn. That's literally the only similarity.
He has 2 horns, which are also pretty normal for dragons. Anyway, you got any
Yeah,
siege
this
effects once
guy
per
looks
turn.
like a Kelpie to me.
If you special summon,
I
you can
still
bounce a card your opponent controls to your hand. By the way, this does not target.
Oof.
Also, by the way, you're playing this in ideally a wind deck, so you're already doing a lot of bouncy shit. Fucking Ryza. If this card is sent from the field or the graveyard, you can add a spiritual wind dart or a possessed trap.
Okay, actually, no. If you're talking about specifically the Magic the Gathering design of Kieran's, then sure. Let me post it, because that actually does look
I was
fairly
more just meant
similar.
like its face was Kieran, like not the rest of its body.
Its face is a dragon.
It's got the same color scheme, the same horns, the same... That looks fairly similar. Although I don't know if that's a standard Kieran design.
It's similar to most mythical things, and they've got some similarities, but a lot of times it changes.
Anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, I am developing a headache,
It's
so we're
fine.
gonna start speedrunning. Let's actually talk about the spiritual arts because they're interesting because they're another drawing of the Charmers. This is the Earth art,
And they're very wonky.
spiritual Earth art Kurogane. Literally in Japanese, this is like spiritual art of Earth or Earth spiritual art iron.
Mhm.
It shows, Ausa, doing a move. Got a kanji behind her, and she's doing a thing.
Yep.
Not too much else going on.
I think that one you sack and
Tribute an
So
Earth
the
monster, target a
card
level
is
4 or lower Earth to
interesting.
special summon that Earth monster. By the way, note
Yeah.
that the trap version does not negate like the monster version does.
Yeah. No, this card is actually fairly interesting in that I've actually seen it teched into decks.
Yeah, I
well,
think
A lot of
everything
older
except
decks.
maybe the light one because it came out way later. I think all 4 of the spiritual arts, the original 4, which all came out in Cybernetic Revolution, actually did see play at different points. It's just how effective were they?
Oh no, the dark, the dark one is also terrible.
Well, the dark one
Even
didn't
though
come
that
out until
came
way
out, like-
later, so yeah. But the
Yeah.
original
that one
4, I
was
think.
sooner than the light one, I think.
yes.
Yeah, it's just, but it has a different naming structure.
But it also came out in, if I remember correctly, it came out in Cyberdark Impact, which explains how bad it is.
I don't know. That set's had a lot of long-lasting meta implications. Looking at you, barrier statues.
But Omega, it was a rare, I
Dude.
think, and therefore
Hey.
all of the actual rares in that set are terrible.
Possible.
It's-
Anyway, this is
It's my favorite spiritual art.
yeah, spiritual fire art Kurenai or Crimson. This is tribute to fire monster. Deal damage to your opponent equal that monster's original attack. This was in some burn strats back in the day.
Okay,
Because what is it? Is it red ogre that's fire?
I believe so.
Yeah.
am I getting? Am I
Or-
crazy? This particular art of this character looks a lot like that one girl from that one magical girl show by the dude who did Fate Zero.
You mean Madoka?
Yeah, that one.
Magica?
It looks like the one redhead from that.
I feel
Am I
like
crazy?
I feel like it might be the other way around.
Yeah.
Look,
Actually,
I
I
don't
don't
care.
know when it came out. It was because this is 05.
Madoka Magica was 2011.
Yeah. So it was probably just like this is the kind of stuff that we were drawing on the art style from.
Yeah.
Also looks like the girl from Ray Earth.
Again, a lot of mid 2000s stuff.
I mean, a lot of anime looks very similar.
So this is spiritual water art Aoi. This is very interesting because I believe the kanji that is actually the pronunciation of Aoi here is supposed to be like hollyhock, but obviously phonetically the word Aoi is blue, so it's kind of weird. It's also translated on the wiki as mallow and not just hollyhock. Anyway, this is another card that has been played in decks. Distribute a water monster, look at your opponent's hand, send one card from their hand to their graveyard, which is way better than that random rip. This is literally like, if you can sack a water monster, look at your opponent's hand and fucking take a card out.
Yeah.
Gee.
I think it's fair to say this is definitively the best of the spiritual arts.
Yes.
Yeah.
There could be some contention with Wind, I guess. but-
Well, yeah, Wind is also
Yeah.
really good, but I think this card literally established that hand rip was the water thing, and has
Yeah.
continued to
Yes.
be a water thing since then.
This card is responsible for a lot.
Yeah. Which is so funny because Arya is such a, like, not that character
Well,
from the way we see her card
yeah.
art.
And if you think about it too, I think this also established Earth as the reviving thing.
Guys, please stop.
It is
Because,
true. That's a thing that Earth did end up doing because of our boy who can never come back, Redox.
I blame Matt Mercer.
And then
What?
we
He's the
have
one who sang that song.
spiritual wind art.
Okay. Sorry, I also was just like in my head, due to the time, I'm like, Redox, I blame that person.
I blame Redox, Matt. I mean, I've heard him do some dragon voices in the animated series for I mean, he does them in when they play D&D as well, but like in the Vox Machina show, he does at least one of those dragon voices, so he could probably pull that off.
He's a great voice actor.
Yeah, he's very flexible. I mean, they picked him to be Ganondorf for a reason, and I think he might be one of the best voice actors in Legend of Zelda. No offense to the guys who were in Breath of the Wild originally, but a lot of them were kind of like B-listers, backburners.
Impa's voice was a choice.
But like, we're gonna bring some
right.
gravitas. But yeah, this is spiritual wind art Miyabi, which is elegance. This is another card that establishes another thing about wind that you all fucking hate. This is tribute to wind monster. Target a card your opponent controls. Put it at the bottom of their deck.
Yeah, like all of this.
By the way, all of these were commons in Cybernetic Revolution. This was pack filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the spiritual arts are actually really good.
I wouldn't say they're really
okay.
like.
The core four are good.
As much as I like Kurenai, it's not great.
No, it requires some work to do, but
Honestly, for the reason for Kurenai is that at the time when a lot of these were really good, unfortunately, Fire really hadn't had an archetype yet.
Yeah. And also, unfortunately, Fire art basically existed in the same time space as Ring of Destruction still being good. I don't know if I don't think it was banned yet.
It's just bad.
And it was definitely pre-errata. So nowadays it's different, and I think there's actually something to be said for that. The Awaken of the Possessed do fetch all these cards, but they are still normal traps that you have to play around. And unfortunately, our best normal trap decks are Trap Tricks and Labyrinth. Labyrinth has zero need for these cards because you are all darks, and Trap Trick could benefit from it, but all that does is just give you more bodies to do more Blink Force.
I mean, I still think, personally, Spiritual Wind Art is a decent
Target one put on the bottom of the deck, that is a zinger. Water is all because water also gives you hand knowledge. You get to look at your opponent's hand and pick one. Both of those cards are still good. It's just that you need to give them a home in a deck. Yeah. And unfortunately,
I've actually seen Wind Art be used a lot.
Yeah.
Mostly just because it gets around certain kinds of like decks.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was actually used quite a lot in tier element format because it's like.
Well, yeah, because of the way tiers work.
Interrupt
so I'm actually going to show
materials.
light art first because the dark art has a different name scheme.
Yeah.
So this is because Spiritual Light Art Hijiri, or Spiritual Light Art Holy, was released in Galactic Overlord in 2012, so way later. It still kind of does show Lina's connection to dark. And you can see Lina, from Dead On here with slightly different stuff going on. She still has her 2 belts. This effect is tribute a light monster, target a banished monster. Your opponent can reveal a trap card to negate this effect, otherwise special summon that monster. There's probably decks this is good in, because note it's any banished monster. And trap cards are not very popular, but it's real easy to stop.
Yeah, and also, I was gonna say, light is one of the attributes that tends to banish a lot.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, hypothetically, Miyabi could be good, especially if they did actually give it a searcher. But until they do that, which would require them to, print Awakening Possessed Happier Lover? I don't even know what you call it.
Oh, I've Elated Lover.
Could be.
I'll say this. This card is extremely better than the dark art for one very specific reason.
It calls trap card?
Unless you're playing against exactly Trap Tricks, you are likely not going to get this negated.
Or Lab.
That's true.
So, this is Dark Spirit Art Greed. It is, like I said, a slightly different naming scheme.
Also, I got the set wrong for this. This was Phantom Darkness.
Yeah, it's
same era.
Still 2008. Yeah. So this effect
still
is Obviously, you can tell by the card art it is meant very differently. There's the fucking pot of greed back there. Some shit's going on. But this card says, tribute a dark monster, draw 2 cards. Your opponent can negate this effect by revealing 1 spell card in their hand. So
Yeah.
Yep. That's a lot worse.
certain deep draw decks have actually tried to make this work, but I believe the general consensus is that if you want to draw 2 cards in a deep draw deck, Reckless Greed is better. You can skip your draw
and
phase.
I'll say this.
And if you do them all at once, you only get 1 penalty.
I have tried this out in side decks to minimal success, mostly in Danger Brews, because if you can guarantee your opponent's playing a low spell deck, then it's okay. But the problem is very few modern decks are low spell.
So
I can think of like 3 low spell decks that are good.
I just love the
think
fact-
Super heavy is like the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
I look at this and all I can imagine is that just was it John Travolta thing of like, where is it? Where-
Oh yeah, the fucking
Yeah.
oh, what's the fucking movie? I know what you're talking
Pulp
about.
Fiction.
They saw
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
Yeah, Doc just not being there.
There's the paw in the
Yeah.
background.
So
Do we-
let's go through their actual support cards really quick that make them an archetype. Here is Awakening of the Possessed. It's the ladies. They're all together.
He just looks less bratty.
They've all got some very different, like again, slightly different art styles, but they're doing different stuff. Ariel looks like she's healing. Wind is blasting. Heat is ready to fucking throw down.
Ariel just looks like she's having a good time.
Yeah, everybody's here. This is a continuous spell card. It says monsters you control gain 300 attack for each different attribute you control. By the way, this is a Dragon Maid card. Charmer and familiar possessed monsters you control, because they're not the same archetype, can't be destroyed by card effects. If a spellcaster with 1850 original attack is special or normal summoned, draw a card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this was produced in Dual Overload in 2020. It was reprinted in the Charmer Structure deck. This is basically meant to be your Charmer engine. You can't be destroyed by card effects. You get 300 attack for each attribute, so like all your Charmers are automatically 2150. If you get 2 Charmers, they're more. And if you normal or special, draw a card. So it's a pretty good card. I just think that the attack modulation is usually not enough, and also, unfortunately, a lot of the effect, like the effect protection, is cool. People are running harsher shit than just destroy by card effect these days, because there's a lot of bad shit out
But
there.
Omega.
Oh,
But Omega,
That's fair.
I'll say
Tails
this.
support.
You could do some very funny shit with this card that I appreciate.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because it does not say Charmer monsters.
Yes.
It says spellcasters with 1850.
Yeah, Chad is already talking about the
Do
fairy
you know
tale
what
support.
a spellcaster with 1850 is?
All the
Chat
snows.
got it. The fairy tale snow.
Yes,
I mean,
if you're
we
playing
were
Master
talking
Duel
about
and
it all around
Charmers, you can use this to draw a card off snow, which
as
is dumb.
well as one of the main Endymion cards.
Also,
I think it's like
again,
Disciple
Fairy Tale
Endymion.
Luna, which is like actually a decent card to play because, as I said, I have seen people like do deck builds of Charmer Kaiju
Well,
because you can
Luna-
use your
That's
Charmers to
that's
take your
right.
Kaijus back.
Luna was actually in the structure.
Yes, they actually reprinted her because she was legal. This is unpossessed, so this is the one that shows all the guys chilling. This is a continuous trap. It gives your normal Charmers, battle protection.
Gibbite does look like he's ready to kick.
Yeah,
somebody
he's fucking
right in the
cracking nuts.
faces.
He's ready to ball out. If a familiar possessed monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, gains injured attack during damage calc only. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is already face up in your spell trap zone, special summon a spellcaster 1500 effect from 1500 defense from your deck whose attribute is different from at least one of those destroyed monsters' attributes on the field. In attack or face down defense position, you'll use each effective unpossessed once per turn. This is another decent one. It makes it so your Charmers can't be destroyed by battle. This is something we talked about earlier. This protects the flip version. It lets you float into new flips if those cards are somehow destroyed anyway. And your familiar possessed get a automatic attack modulation. The problem is it's only 800. I feel like Konami really learned their lesson from these type of cards with later shit. Basically, I would like to compare this and the previous one, Awakening, to Piercing the Darkness, like 2 years later. Piercing the Darkness says if you normal special a normal monster, draw one. If your normal monster battles or any of your extra deck monsters made with a normal monster battle gain basically honest yourself, gain attack equal to your opponent's monster, which lets you get over some dumb shit. So
Yeah.
Unpossessed and Awakening are cute. They give you some protection. They give you some card advantage. And they let you set up your strategies, like they give you a reason to run the old flip
funny.
Charmers, but it's not spicy enough, I don't think.
The Charmers have suffered from being fairly popular, but not that popular.
Yeah, but obviously way before you
They
got here.
got support early, but they haven't gotten it since, really.
Can I take a moment to?
Well, I would like to say real quick, because Dallas said something. I want to let him know about something that he wasn't here for. But I looked it up on top decks as usual. No Charmer deck has ever topped.
Oh God, no.
But Charmer cards top all the time. Go ahead, Axe.
Well,
I want to say, can we take a moment to appreciate this is the best timeline for Gagagigo, as he has a family and a bunch of friends. And he gets
I
to
mean,
fight
yeah,
all the
this
people
is
he
the good
wants.
arc. This is Light Ray Gagagigo.
God.
This archetype needs more tragedy.
Well, we don't know what happened to
Well,
Dark, and we think he may have
We
lost
don't
his
have the
arm,
Dark
so
Arena because that might be a whole tragic thing.
we haven't seen
Wow.
Dark yet.
Yeah.
And now we're because I think it's pretty cool. Can I get a better resolution on this? No, probably not. This card makes sense why it's not very well regarded, but it still I think is neat. I'll have to blow this up, but this is their field spell. Again, this is the advantage they have over Dragon Maid. Grand Spiritual Art Ichirin. Grand Spiritual Art, one ring.
Oh, look, it's
To
their combo.
rule them all.
It's their combo thing.
Yeah,
super-
this is
it's the
all of
super
them
attack.
stand together. This card looks pretty cool.
When
Cool
is
with a
that
foil.
attribute 4 thing over?
A few days? It might be already over. I don't know. They just had an update. Instant Fusion went to 1. Nothing else really mattered. They got hit. Or Instant Fusion went to 0, actually. Nothing else happened.
Oh,
But,
that'll actually do something. Never mind. I was like, wait.
I mean, it will change the math very slightly in tier, but it won't really matter.
Well, it won't do anything in tier. It shuts off the pendulum FTK.
That's nice. That is
Nice.
actually nice.
That
Change
is
of Heart went to
something
2,
to-
which is hilarious.
That is very funny.
So Grand Spiritual Art Ichirin is your field spell. It says, negate your opponent's first monster effect that resolves each turn while you control a spellcaster monster with 1500 defense. During your main phase, you can reveal a spellcaster monster from your hand, and if you do, add a monster with the same attribute but 1500 attack and 200 defense from your deck to your hand. Then reshuffle the revealed card. You can only use each effect of Spiritual Art Ichirin once per turn. So this gets you the big versions of the familiars, but not the biggest version. It lets you shuffle back your spellcasters that you don't need, like if you've got a Flip Charmer or some other Garnet, and it gives you 1 negate per turn. It's actually pretty decent, and
Can I say
honestly,
the most unfortunate part of this card.
the fact that it's not better than Secret's Village.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this was
It's
if
not
this
as
was a
good as Secret.
continuous spell card, this would be amazing.
Yeah.
But because it's your field spell, it completes with Secret Village, which is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, which unfortunately, also in the structure deck was a Secret Village reprint.
Yeah.
I think there's
I mean,
literally one
there-
spellcaster deck that uses its own field spell, and that's because the deck is built around it, and that's the Endymion archetype.
I mean, I
Good
see
case.
people playing both their archetype field spell and Secret Village and Dark Magician these days, because it's really, really easy to get to navigation. But yeah, now Filthy Casual did have a good point because it's each turn, so it's both your turn and your opponent's turn. This does give you hand trap insulation, which is something that Charmers desperately needed. But yeah, it's just its negation
But
effect is
Secret
not
Village
as good as
is so
floodgating.
punishing
Yeah.
that it's like
It's not really worth the countering. It's something they probably
if
need to
you want
consider.
to be
Like,
very real, I think Secret Village of the Spellcasters is technically the one of the most powerful floodgates.
yeah, because it's
but it's
one-sided
one I'm
and
okay
easy to
with.
turn off.
Yeah, but I'm actually okay with the one-sidedness because that means it's not a stall floodgate like others I could mention.
Also, it is hypothetically possible if you are playing the right deck to turn it on your opponent. It has a downside, which is why you probably don't see more Secret Village decks.
Yeah.
But here is... Oh, it's very big. Hold on. This
Also,
is
like I
Possessed
mentioned,
Partnership.
The best spellcaster archetype ever printed, unfortunately,
I like
needs a
this
field
art.
spell.
This seems like a cool like phone wallpaper.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
a
pretty
manga
neat.
cover.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
been saying that.
Honestly, this
about
is like a
all
this is a
of
Tonka
them.
Punk cover for sure.
This is all the alt art versions with their enhanced of the familiar possessed.
No,
so,
but
you
this
know.
one like is just specifically this is a volume cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, we were saying that
Also,
about all of
Aoi
them
is just a
before.
JoJo's character.
Yeah, it's because Gigabyte is a man. It's really weird, but yeah.
Yep.
This is
He
a normal
falls
trap.
apart.
It says special summon a spellcaster monster with 1500 defense in your hand or graveyard in attack position or face down defense. Again, they're trying to like give you room to set up your flips if you need them. Then, if you control a monster with 2 or more different attributes, you can destroy 1 face-up card on the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Target 1 possessed continuous spell trap in your graveyard. Place it face up. You can only use each effective partnerships once per turn, and only one that turn. So
I like.
basically, it
It's
lets
been
you reset
mentioned.
itself. It lets you get the continuous awakening. Technically, because it contains the verbiage, unpossessed counts as a possessed card. So this is all you want from a modern normal trap support, but it's still, I don't think, spicy enough. You're only summoning 1 Charmer, and you get to pop once. Like, it's an interrupt
Yeah.
once.
Also, Zed is correct. This is the total cover art of the end of the second arc.
Yes.
And then, let me see if I can actually... I mean, it's
No,
the...
no, Loth. They're not in nearly enough peril for it to be the end of the second. This is the end of the third arc where they're coming back to fight the villain.
And this is our thumbnail card for today. This card is just called Spirit Charmers.
Hint: this is, if I remember right, this is the really important one.
Yeah, this is the
Yes, I
quick
think
play.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is discard 1 card, take 2 cards from your deck with different names from each other that are Charmers, familiar possessed, or possessed spell traps. Add 1 of them to your hand, set the other. You can only activate 1 Spirit Charmers per turn. So basically, you discard 1 to add 1 card to your hand and then set the other one. Monsters or spell traps. I think because this still adds to your hand, this is still ashable, but it's almost not ashable.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a quick play that lets you, like, instantly set a monster out of your deck and shit like that. So it's pretty important. Also, it's a good card art of just them working together, doing their thing.
Yep. Assemble.
And after only 2 hours and 46 minutes, we've come to the end. I'm very
Good for
There
tired.
was
me.
a lot of faffing in there.
There was some faffing around, but we had some people on. You haven't been on in a while. Dallas has been away for a while. We're rotating around. My knees, however, are
I'm not dead.
slightly jelly-y, so we're going to wrap this up hopefully pretty quick. Charmers are very neat. I'm glad y'all voted for them. Technically, Loft picked this one, so I got to go take another crack at assembling a list for a new failed Portrayal and get on that as well. I'll probably give it a
Oh,
little because we
God.
delayed, but
Oh wow.
yeah, I hope you guys
Very-
enjoyed this. It's pretty fun, pretty cool.
Very,
And
very fortuitous then, because wasn't I the one that was responsible for them being on the list? Now, damn it.
No, that was Loth.
yeah, Loft picked Charmers a long time ago. I've kept a couple of your ideas on the list off and on when you've been away.
Yeah, no.
But Sidedraft's not
picked
one yet.
Chalmers because Omega was thinking of picking Chalmers because it'd get voted, and because no one ever votes for my options, I said, "Fuck you, Chad."
Yeah, we did some back and I think I mentioned it, and Zed was like, "I'd vote for it," and then Loth was like, "Very well, I'm stealing that one. I shall pick Charmers." Because we take suggestions from chat, but remember, I actually pick the poll options from each of these guys.
Just to say it easier, my pick has not changed.
Okay. I'll have to remember what yours was, but we can do that off mic.
Spiral.
Like I said, I'm fucking... Right, Spiral. My brain is melting a little. And I want to try and log into Final Fantasy 14 today.
Or Portrayal?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if we got enough
Okay.
guys to get me some leveling on
I'm
some
fine
lower
tanking for
classes,
that
I can
one,
take
honestly,
some
for a bit.
weirdness, but we
I
can
can do that.
show that. Anyway, that's for off the thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you so much for your support. Hey, it's a new month. Consider dropping us a YouTube membership. If you're not a patron, consider supporting us on Patreon. At the 5 and up level, you can get access to that poll when I run it. It'll probably be a couple of days, but I will run it again. And just generally, it's a cool time. consider dropping us a sub and a like if you like these. I had a lot of fun with this. Obviously, like I said, I'm getting a little headachy. I'm getting a little fadey at the end. But Charmers are a really interesting concept of, like, not an archetype that becomes an archetype. And kind of works, but not quite yet. We'll continue to see if those channelers come out. So they're pretty cool.
Channelers and the other familiars.
Otherwise, our next hit, gosh, I think since we did Nightmare, that's everything out of there. So it should be Crusadia, yeah.
I guess it's Crusadia then Orcust, but I guess mostly just Crusadia.
Yeah.
Well, Omega, the Charmers are what one might call charming.
I did do a charmed life pun here, yeah.
I'm slightly disappointed the name was not semi-charmed life.
Yeah, I thought about it because that's the actual reference, but or at least that's one of the titles for it. It's a name of a thing.
It's a song. Use that goat.
Yeah, it's a title, but I wanted to keep it right there.
Okay.
No, Dallas, my monetization! No!
I mean, Dallas.
No, I actually don't think they can sue you because if I remember correctly, that particular song is in, like, legal hell.
Ah, that's very funny. YouTube can still at least attempt to detect a fucking cover, though.
I don't sing that well.
Probably not, but anyway, we're wrapping up. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Remember, tomorrow, we're actually streaming Final Fantasy XIV. I will be continuing Bridge Quests. Will some of us be there? Probably. Will Dallas actually make progress?
Tomorrow. Yes.
Maybe do it on
hope.
on Wednesday.
Anyway.
Yeah, Omega's finished base.
Okay, alright, fuck you then too, buddy.
I'm still waiting for... I mean, you won't actually because Omega Alter's back in the game, so Axe is super scared to finish Endwalker. But I'm still waiting for the day Dallas logs in and he's like, yeah, I beat Endwalker. I'm level 90.
I've been tempted several times to just buy a character pass.
Just for the shits and giggles.
Like,
It's probably not
you.
worth the money.
No, it isn't.
Also, like, you won't fucking know what half the things are going on are.
It's
I will just read the Wikipedia page and then
He'll
DM
do it just to spite you, Axe. Stop
Be careful.
saying these
Anyway,
things.
yes, Charmed is a TV show. Pretty cool TV show. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we're wrapping up now. Tune into the 14. We'll be talking about stuff. We'll see you there. Good night, everybody. Sorry, I'm tired.
Good night.
Out of here. We'll go. Good night.
I'll see you guys.